And we're live. Hello and welcome to the 42nd episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm your host, Maddie Allen, with ChrispyMan of HexFire.io and Tobiwan Hexobi. Welcome.
Hey,
Hey, Maddie.
happy to be here, fellas. I've missed you.
Now, it's great to be here with you guys. These shows have usually been running 2.5 hours, but I wanted to start off today with an important announcement about the HEX conference. The third annual HEXconference.com is going to be happening this weekend from Friday until Monday night, 4 nights. Each night has 5 hours of amazing content that's been planned. The schedule just came out tonight, and that's right. You counted correctly. That's 5 hours each night. And, the first night through the last night, they're all going to be outstanding. We've got some of the most important people in the HEX ecosystem speaking. And of course, the final day is going to be with Richard Hart himself. And so that's definitely something to look forward to. I wanted to run through very quickly just some instructions to the people speaking. So if you're speaking, make sure to turn on notifications and check in the Telegram room. And that's where you're going to be able to find the link in order to join. Now, the day before the conference starts, that's when I'm going to be running the test green room. And so if you don't stream every week or you want to test out your setup, that's strongly encouraged. And there will be an opportunity to do that here on Thursday night when I normally do HEX Therapy Live. So exactly 24 hours before the HEX conference starts, that's when we'll be doing the test run in the green room. And then whenever you join the HEX conference, the reason why it always looks so polished and people aren't, scrounging around for their headphones and stuff like that at the last minute is because Sticker Guy is the backstage manager who pulls together everything and checks in all of the speakers. And so everybody who's going to be speaking, we have 69 speakers this year, and all of those people will check in to the green screen room 30 minutes early. And so people need to go and they need to look on the schedule and see when they're scheduled to present because that information just came out today. And then you'll be able to go to the Telegram room, the private speakers Telegram room that you were direct messaged. And here's the tweet that's announcing the schedule. There are a couple of typos here on the schedule, but overall it's looking good. And Richard Hart himself did retweet this and sent it out on Telegram earlier today. So
nice.
All of the haters who said they thought HEX was going to zero and Richard wasn't going to show up to the HEX conference and all this other stuff, doesn't look good for the haters. And let me just run through here real quick, guys, just what the schedule actually looks like, because this is breaking news. And then I'm looking forward to the discussion that we'll have on what are the other topics for tonight. There was a HEX mini series that was released. We can talk a little bit about that. Of course, there's more shenanigans happening in the regular crypto market with what is it? The Winklevi twins are going after Barry Silbert, and that's the clearest way I can see we're going to get to 11K Bitcoin. But other than that, I mean, the sentiment in the HEX community, I'm feeling a shift. Maybe it's just because I've been communicating with 69 Hexicans in the past day and a half, but I'm sensing a shift here where the mood is maybe going to get past depression, get past panic at some point. So here is the schedule, and I'm going to zoom in, but these are the 4 different days. And what I've done here is I've tried to break it down by the different time zones. Half of the people who watch the HEX conference are in countries outside of the United States. HEX is a worldwide phenomenon. And so based on what time zone you're in, if you're in Central Time, the start time is 7 p.m., Pacific, 5 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern. And then for our friends in Europe, it's UTC plus 1 day, 1 a.m. is the starting time. And then, of course, over there in Australia and New Zealand and everything, it's the morning there, plus 1 day. And so people can see out of all 5 hours they're scheduled, the format follows where there are different panels with 4 people on them, sometimes more. And then there's times when there's only 1 person on the screen and times when there's 9. And so as we can see in hour 1 here on day 1, we have our very own ChrispyMan, who's going to be on a panel with Crypto Coffee, Hex Monkey, and Mark Wild.
Yeah, Mark Wild's he's relatively new to the community, right? He's the dude that did the book.
Yeah, he's not new to the community, but he's new to streaming,
Twitter and streaming stuff. Yeah, because he reached out to me and I tweeted about his book and stuff, and we chatted via DM. Seems like a really good dude. I was hoping to hop on because I encouraged him. I'm like, man, you need to go stream. And I think he got on Discourse, and I don't know if he's streamed with you yet, but very intelligent guy. Yeah. Cool book, definitely worth checking out. That'll be fun to see him talk with Crispy, and Hex Monkey's always great. And I mean, who doesn't love coffee,
Yeah, totally. I'm so excited to have these 4 kick off the conference after I do my.
It's going to be fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mark's all excited, and we're already talking.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
That's great to hear. And in general, as you can see throughout the schedule, I haven't tied people down into a certain topic in most cases. And in most cases, the instructions to the speakers is going to be that that there were lots of suggestions and things that you chose when you were filling out the speaker survey. There were 20 or 30 different topics that were suggested. You decided which ones you wanted to speak on. But in general, it's going to be anything that's related to Hex that that people can speak on, whether it's the price or staking, your testimonial, why you love Hex so much. I recommend that you take a look at who you might be speaking with and think of what the commonalities are there. But that's one of the strengths of the Hex community is you just put us together and we have great dialogue. And so, if people want to prepare bullet points of things that they want to talk about, the most important instruction to the speakers that I have is just talk about the thing that you think is the most important in the Hex community right now. And so that's pretty open-ended. The rapid round of testimonials this year is being doubled. And so we'll have probably at least 18 people doing 3 minutes each in the second hour of the conference. And those will go one at a time. But I am willing, of course, to be on screen with people if they haven't been solo before. It's no problem. Usually about half the people each year in the rapid round choose to have me on screen to, calm their nerves or whatever, and or to create a dialogue. And the other half of the people choose to just give their testimonial solo. So that's an option that can be chosen on the fly. And then wherever it says to be announced, I have somebody planned, but I haven't gotten a confirmation from them yet. I had to piece together about 80 different schedules. Cryptographics is scheduled to do a tutorial here. That's TBA on what the topic will be. And I wanted to show a lot of respect for Discourse Syndicate and Kinetics and what they've been doing apparently with the Hex Investment Trust. And so I invited Kinetics to do part 1 of the keynote on the first night, and then part 2 is to be announced. And then here you can see who all the people are who have been scheduled for the second hour panel, which is those 18 people that each can give their testimonial for 3 minutes each. Timothy Benjamin, Caitlin, Hexagon Lindsay, Thoschild, Ray Speakmore, Crypto King, Hex Ninja, CZ Hexing, Georgia Carrera, Vibra Finance, War Ants, DJ Pollywood, The Real Hollow, Unplugged Dad, ATX Crypt, Gen Hex, and a couple others to be announced. So that's going to be a really exciting panel, one after another, like we did before. And then the social, which will be happening in the 5th hour, of where everybody will be on screen all at once. Timothy Benjamin, Serena Alonzi, UFO, Cosmo Jenkins, Dylan, Dr. Moore, Dan Canada, and crypto class. So that'll be really exciting first day. And people can go to hexconference.com and see the landing pages and different information there. And then on Saturday.
Hey, Maddie, hang on before you jump to the next day. What's I think will be cool is because you just mentioned the mini series earlier. Tim Benjamin and Sammy, and I don't know if I see anybody else on that list, but both of them that'll be in the social the first day were interviewed for that mini series, and actually I thought they did really well and were represented well.
Yeah, totally. There were so many people who did a great job with that, and it wasn't what I was thinking it was going to be. So
yeah, me neither.
That'll be
we'll talk about that later. But
yeah,
go ahead.
Good teaser. Now, the panel to kick off day 2, which is Saturday, is going to be an all-women panel starting off with a wild SJ, fashion coder, Jory _Hex, and one other Hexagon woman there for hour 1. And then hour 2 is split into 3 different talks. Tanta Nomanai, dip catcher from Maximus DAO for the first 20 minutes. Then Maddie Allen with Time Pays Me in the second 20 minutes. And then a tutorial from Papa Boner on security, which it's always really important to me that people who are in a self-custody ecosystem have somebody like him to keep us in line and to educate us. And then, look at this group of OGs here. Big Kurkowski, Cabana Crypto, Dollar Cost Crypto, and our very own Tobiwan Hexobi.
Whoop.
That panel is going to rock. All those people have great experience providing commentary and being class act people.
That'll be fun.
And then we have for the keynote, this is going to be the 3rd annual presentation that got a lot of people excited about TShares more than, once they graduated, once people realized the value of staking leagues, that was one thing. But when people really started to look at the charts that Abit and Patrick created years ago now at the first HEX conference, that's been really exciting to see how accurate their predictions have been in the past, even before we had a clear guide as to where things were at. ChrispyMan, can you speak more, since you're also going to be on that keynote? Can you speak a little bit more to give a teaser of what people might expect at that hour-long slot?
Yeah, sure. It's going to be pretty interesting. Of course, Abit and Patrick have been doing this. Hex Lion's been doing this for a couple of years, and they've got a really strong handle on it. But what's different is this is year 3. Okay, so why is that different? Well, the first year there wasn't a lot to go on.
Mm-hmm.
And we only had so many operating days. Now we're well over 1,125 days of operation. So we can actually look at data and the facts from 3 past years. We're clear of the nearly clear of the effects of big payday. I mean, there's still some lasting effects that'll be there. And so all of this affects T-share rate payouts and, some of the other factors in the system. And I think people are going to be surprised because I think we all, even I, jump to conclusions, right? So if you ask me a specific question and I don't have the data in front of me, I'm going to give you what I think is going to happen. I'm going to tell you, oh, penalties are going up. Well, penalties aren't going up. And you'll say, that's crazy. You got to come watch these sessions and get the real data, or go dig up the data yourself and go look at it, because it's all a matter of perspective and, what we see day to day. So I'm pretty excited about it. And Abit's been kicking butt. So we're going to see how this all comes together. It's like, at first I'm like, oh my God, that's like an hour. It's likely we'll be like rushed for time by the time.
Totally.
By the time you get to it, because the damn system goes down. I mean, there's just so much data. So we're picking and choosing. I think there'll be some surprises, be some likely cliffhangers. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds great. And so that's going to be such an awesome data-driven approach to understanding HEX and TShares and the power of delayed gratification. Oh, did I mention that Time Pays Me got onto the Pulse Chain private testnet? So let me make sure I worded that correctly. So I got to play with Time Pays Me on the Pulse Chain testnet 2B for the first time tonight, and it's amazing. And Sweet. So I think the idea is that I'll have something to announce about Time Pays Me at the conference, and things are looking really good there. And then for our 9-person panel, that'll be at the end of day 2, we've got DJ Cryptomatic, Hex Luther, Casey the Hexakin, Ben Sierra Pro, Finbear, Steve Hitson, and Jen Hex, and a couple more to be announced. So that's another one that just, seeing all these names of people who have taken a leadership position and been streamers in the community is really awesome. Now, day 3 as well is going to be action-packed, because look at the 20-minute lineup here, starting with Crypto 7, who is an amazing streamer and brings a really special energy to the mix. Got Nerd Girl, who has been building bridges since long before HEX launched. And then Randy Hilarski, somebody else who's extremely informative and principled and an outstanding Hexakin. Are you guys? I saw you guys smiling. Are you guys fans of any of those streamers there?
I'm a big
Absolutely.
fan of Nerd Girl and Randy. It's like, Randy, it's like you got to take your hat off to the guy. He's been around for a long time. He's a great example, I think, and she is too, really, of just not putting yourself in a box, but professing your love for HEX, being driven to teach about HEX and have that foundation in your portfolio, if you will, of a HEX staking ladder and how important that is, but not being afraid to build bridges, as her famous phrase goes, or be even involved in other communities. So I think those guys have done a tremendous job for helping broaden our reach.
Yeah. And then
I like the lineup. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. And
Crypto 7 and I are in a little Twitter beef, but we'll work it out.
Are you?
He's a good dude. Yeah.
Sounds like you guys need therapy.
He's fine. We might. Maybe we need to get on Maddie's couch, but it's like we're good. We'll work it out. I mean, we were friendly before. I think it might have just been a little. Maybe it was something to do with the English affect or something. It's like maybe I mistook some things as disrespectful that weren't, and vice versa. So we'll work it out. But he's a good dude.
That's good to hear.
He's out there grinding, so it'll be fun to see him involved in the conference. I'm sure he's super excited. He pinned Richard down on an interview too. Do you remember that?
I know.
Yeah. So I'm sure he is feeling it.
Good job.
Yep.
Then the next panel we have on the second hour of day 3 is going to be Crypto Heartbeat, Rags to Riches, Ashley Ash, and KG. These are all really awesome personalities as well, and I think they have I think they're connected maybe as a group, at least the first 3, and I really enjoyed the opportunity to put together personalities that I thought really work well together, and in some cases challenge each other, in other cases just really vibe. And so that'll be on panel 5. Then look who we have here. Kareem the Dream is going to be coming on. I'm so excited to have him on this third HEX conference as well. Many people remember that Kareem was the ultimate hype and speaker of quick maths and stuff. He was a really big part of the Tuesday night show that I hosted for over a year with him and Whales Only. And so I'm honored to have Kareem back on the show in a panel with Axis Alive, Hex Ray Vision, and one other great personality here. So
panel 6 will be one not to miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be
I mean,
fun.
that's-
Access
I mean,
Alive cracks me up, dude. It's like, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if I'll share it on stream or maybe I'll tell you in the green room later, but there's a funny story about when Jim Rat and I were in a golf cart and we pulled up on Access Alive. So it was Access Alive, man. Tip of the hat to you. It was fucking hilarious, but maybe I'll share it later.
Ah, fair enough. And then we've got for the keynote, again this year will be Aubrey de Grey. And Aubrey has already announced his new longevity foundation, Longevity Escape Velocity Foundation, which is levf.org. And he's going to have some important updates on, his mission to extend human life. And that fits with HEX, with time locking, because it creates incentives for people to be well, I think. So that's going to be something definitely to look forward to. And he was on the program 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and that was a great episode to check out. And then look at this
invigorating.
lineup.
It was an invigorating episode. Yes,
it was. Yeah.
Jazzed up.
Oh yeah, and we might have something. We might have something cool to announce, or have some more brainstorming ideas of how we can create more use cases, maybe, or create more participation between the time locking community and the longevity community, and what they're doing scientifically. So that'll be exciting.
Put a little pin in it, but it's like there were 2 tweets just before we came on that Aubrey had sent out, or I got the notifications. Maybe it was earlier today, but it would be cool to visit those in relation to what you're talking about. I thought they were really poignant.
Oh, nice. Yeah, definitely something to check out. The day 3, hour 5 social will include Corey, an investor, hexiest man in the world, Hex to USD, and then Real Maddie Crypto, RH Maximalist, a wild SJ, Cosmic Cowboy, Hex Mac, and to be announced. So lots of familiar names, people who've been on before, and again, I think people who will vibe together.
Yeah, if people had the opportunity in Vegas, or if they saw the videos, Corey Investor is, not only is it remarkable what he's done with music just in the short time that he's really made it a focus, but he did a live performance that was like, I was blown away. It was super fun.
Didn't somebody like break their foot backstage when they were like jumping around with like Corey and Investor and like
I didn't
DJ, or who's that like famous guy that was there?
Oh, the shit, said it too soon. The guy from Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I think somebody broke their foot like in that moment on stage. Like,
I could believe it.
I don't think it was Corey, but maybe somebody else. Yeah. So that was pretty legendary. And then let me see. Okay, and then we have day 4, Monday. Drum roll, please. There's 4-person panel with Corey Costa, Furu Finance, Ben Dubard, and RH Max. That's going to be a great one. They all have their own style that I think is really fresh and cool.
Yep, Corey's been great. I think like if we had like awards for like the up and coming, streamers in the community or whatever, it's like, he'd have to be at the top or damn near for like the last year. And it's just amazing the reach that he's had and like some of the gets he's gotten. BitBoy and Gockstein, and like how many other people has he had that have been like significant?
Charles Hoskinson.
Go Corey. Corey's been doing it. And then also he's just,
go Corey.
He
had me on.
Yeah. Dude, I watched that the other night. We were driving.
Forget Charles Hoskinson.
Yeah, we can talk about it later, but I watched that on a drive, and it was great. It was one of the better streams I've seen in a long time. So I really enjoyed that one. So you guys need to check that out, Maddie and Corey Costa, just a couple days ago.
And I'll also point out that Furu Finance is streaming every day. Hex, talking about Hex, and Ben Dubard goes on a stream pretty often. So that's really cool to see. It's really cool to see people who are just starting out streaming, in their first year, in their first 6 months, and they're excited during a bear market like we were. We used to get excited when the price went down, not just when the price went up. We did. There's evidence. There are streams all over YouTube of us.
What do you mean used to?
We got our dumb hats on. We have our top hats on. And we're so excited. But the price is down 50 or 70%. I mean, it's just nobody really understood back then how hard we could win. That's for sure. Except for us. Either you got it or you didn't.
Right.
Then we have to look forward to Steph from StakerApp, and StakerApp is expected to launch their V2 version, which is a leap forward from what we've heard over the past year is being baked into it in terms of game theory, and so much more. So and of course, Steph, when he speaks each year at the HEX conference, I mean, last year he had probably the most organized and well presented with his slides and everything. Was it was great. So shout out to Steph. And then HEX Tangent will be up. He's really been a leader, somebody who whether Richard is following him or not, is he's still promoting HEX and sticking true to what he believes in and to the Bitcoin plus HEX narrative that is where a lot of us started, and where even somebody who is as well educated about crypto as HEX Tangent, where he ends up as well. So that's really cool. K4K Crypto, of course, who also helped found the Game Theory Gang, and is a crowd favorite. It's
he's great, man. I love
no
that
question
so
about
much.
that.
He's got and he's also on my personal favorites list for the best laugh. I don't know what it is about how he laughs. It fucking kills me every time. And met him in person, super nice.
Oh yeah,
very bright. I just love his content. I love the fire he brings to the community and the knowledge. It's great. Can't wait to see his segment.
Yeah. And then, the man, the myth, the legend, Richard Hart himself. So far, the pattern I've developed is every other year. I'll do a one-on-one interview with him. So I did the first HEX conference last year. I gave the spots away to other people to have a chance to interview Richard, and so this year I'm back on interviewing him. So that's gonna be good. And then Richard will give a keynote for an hour, and then we'll have a spotlight like we did last year with Richard and HEX and 9 hexagons who go up one at a time. That worked really well last year, where it's a way to really kind of recognize some people who are really giving more than normal to the community without asking in return. And this year that list of people includes Papa B, who has spent probably not hundreds but thousands of hours educating people on security and volunteering in the Telegram rooms and streaming, and just volunteering nonstop. Papa B, ChrispyMan, who created hexfire.io.
Yeah, I see you stuck my name in there. I didn't know that.
Okay.
That's new.
He'll do that to you, Crispy. It's he'll surprise you, because it's if you're accommodating, he'll be like, "Oh, by the way, it's okay, 2 more panels."
Now I'm nervous.
Everybody filled out a survey. Okay, you agreed to be scheduled.
There was a disclaimer that you need to be available all 4
Yeah,
days,
but I'm
all
gonna need brother Matty to come on with me at first, training wheels.
I mean, watch the panel from last year. I'm not talking about the one at the Pulse conference online that I hosted, where we put Richard with all the different ages of different grades and stuff, like a YouTube gimmick. But yeah, last year when it was just when there were different members of the community being recognized, and maybe you have one or two questions for Richard, or you give a special thank you to him for something, or debate him on something, whatever you want to do. That's your time, and it breaks down to about 6 minutes per person if we split the hour. And so Papa B, ChrispyMan, Crypto Coffee, of course, the most followed Hex streamer other than RH. We got Hex Ray Vision, who just is always giving to the community and thinking of others, and has streamed tech talks and other regular shows. Got Big Kurkowski, of course. He he doesn't always ask for recognition in doing things, but he's been a major force in so many different things in the Hex community, including the documentary, which Tobiwan as well has contributed to. We got Hex Monkey, who gave like the best response to Hex FUD I've ever heard on Corey Costa's stream the other day, and just another example of an outstanding Hexkin who doesn't get enough recognition. Hodl Dog is, of course, actually, is he the most followed streamer? Him and Coffee are.
He might be. He's up there.
Yeah.
I know. I follow him. I even tune in sometimes to go watch the animated guy watching the computer.
Can somebody be like 6'3" and adorable? Because I think Hodl Dog's adorable, but he's
of course.
I think so.
There's just something about his smile. He's just, I don't know. He's a good dude. And he's been at it for a long time, man. It's like, just showing people from the jump with his staking ladder that he would like build every day, just diligently grinding it out in the early days.
Totally. And he's got his own style, and he is always coming up with things like, for example, he has a channel that does a 24-hour live stream with, what is it? Lo-fi beats or something. And yeah, it's just a really cool way to get the word out and send out good vibes. So
yeah, that's the stream I watch sometimes.
Yeah, I wonder how he made it. And then, of course, we have Sticker Guy Win, who became known to the community for asking Richard endless numbers of questions at one of the Hex meetups in person.
Zurich, I think, was it?
I think. And, so since he's going to be doing such a huge role of helping backstage all 4 days of the conference, like normal, being the stage manager, I wanted to make sure to give him some recognition and some time with RH as well. So that right there is the schedule. In previous years, we had like an extra hour. It was like 6 hours, and that just didn't fit with like the 5-5-5-5 vibe this year. So it's a little bit more action packed, and it looks like everybody, as far as I know, everybody who reached out got included.
I like it. And I think 5 hours is more manageable. It's not like a lot shorter, but it's like, someone could sit down and watch something for 5 hours. Like after 5 hours, I think it gets to be a little bit of a tipping point for some. So, there's, there should be a badge for someone that watches all 20 hours.
Yeah. It becomes a 20-hour module that people can go back to at any time. And we see in the statistics that people go back and watch this more than other stuff. And certainly, the view count is huge on this. So
it condenses so much good information, like you said, because it's like there's so much stuff now. It's like, in the early days, Maddie, it's like there wasn't a ton out there. There were just like a handful of people that were really kind of, grooving out their niche. And now it's like there's so many streamers. Like there's a couple on here even that I don't even recognize. like Furu Finance and Ben DeBard. I'll have to check them out. I'll have to figure out who they are and where they're
Yeah,
at and, see
do
what they're
it.
doing. But it's so great to see like, the passing of the torch and, some new people coming up, some older faces in there that have, been around since the jump and just to get everybody's perspective on things and insights. It's great, man. It's like, it's one of the joys of my life to be part of this crazy community, for the ups and the downs and all of it. But yeah, this is a great resource because it's like, I mean, you could search hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours and not get what you get out of these 20 hours. And so it's a good way to really pack it in.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And one of the questions I asked in the speaker survey was, did you speak at the previous HEX conference? And I was shocked. This isn't probably based on like screen time, but actual participation is 60-40. So 40% of the people participating reported that this is their first time speaking at a HEX conference. So
wow,
that's really cool. That surprised me. And but based on screen time as well, that there's a lot of returning people. It's probably 80-20 if you look at screen time. So everybody, you can get ready for this by hitting the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, and go to the landing pages on YouTube that are already created. Go to hexconference.com to see all the information about what's going on here and what the plan is.
Sweet.
Cool.
Nicely done, Maddie.
Thank you.
That's a lot to put together, let alone just to go. I mean, the rundown was hard. You know what I mean? So to actually coordinate all that, it's like, I don't know, props to you, bro. It's like, I feel like I'm blowing smoke up your skirt all the time, but it's like, you really put in the work, and, to watch your evolution from the early days has been a real joy. And, how many people that you've educated it's crazy to even think about, the reach that you've had.
Well, thank you so much.
And the support you've been, for people like me and other people that, maybe are not as driven to put in the time, consistently like you do, because consistency is so much of it. And even like the hand-holding kind of thing that you were saying about the people coming onto the stream for the first time by themselves, and for you to be there and kind of like nurture them along. I mean, that's huge. It's a huge component of a strong community. So I appreciate you, bro.
Man, this is my dream job, just being able to help coordinate people and having so many cool people to coordinate, such as yourselves and everybody who's speaking. It's a true honor for sure. And it's, a lot of mutual respect here.
It's shaping up to be fantastic.
It is.
So now we can start talking shit.
No.
Yeah, well, let's go.
Do you know what I'm interested in learning more about? Because it's like, I got like it seemed like a spicy thing, but I didn't have time to really dig into it more. The Winklevi and like what's going on there and how that's tied to GBTC. If somebody, Maddie, Crispy, chat, whoever can help bring me up to speed, I'm all ears about it. Because it's like, that seems like that could be the next leg down if it's brutal, or maybe there's nothing. I don't know. I didn't read enough into it to know like what that implies.
Yesterday, a letter was published on Twitter from Cameron Winklevoss and he's representing
Gemini, right?
Gemini.
Yep.
And he sent it to Barry Silbert, who is the CEO and founder of a lot of things. Basically, a digital currency group, DCG, owns like 100 out of the top 120 companies in crypto. I mean, it's like a wild monopoly. If you ever look at like a map of what they own, it's like everything. And so one of the things that he owns, I guess, is connected to the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Well, wait, is it? No, it's the Winklevi twins who control the Grayscale Trust, I think.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. That's where I kind of got lost. I'm
Basically,
like, I bookmarked it. I'm like, I'll come back and read this later because it's like I saw the letter, and then I think like some of the financing for Grayscale is backed by DCG, but then
yeah,
DCG owes Gemini a bunch of money or something, and then
basically they
they're
did the
alleging.
exact same thing Sam
Yeah,
Bankman-Fried
right.
did. They
Yeah,
rehypothecated the funds, and now nobody knows where they're at, and that
right.
that could, some people think that that's a problem for Bitcoin because because they could be forced by a judge to sell in order to pay back the money that they stole, like Barry Silbert stole. So
well, it's so strange because like just in like broader media, it's FUD's maybe not the right term, but it's just the whole, keep people separated, keep people scared, keep them glued, keep them clicking, keep them watching, right? So it's like some of the stuff I kind of wonder. It's like, okay, how much of an impact is this last one going to have, or is it just kind of piling on to the
oh, dude,
narrative?
it's
I mean, I don't
going
know.
down.
It
It's going down.
it could be monstrous. It could be a nothing burger, and maybe it's all priced in because of where we're at. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
or maybe it gets us to Richard's call of 11K. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to sell my $1,000 of GBTC or GETH or whatever. Well, it's what is it? ETH? Whatever the
GBDC.
yeah,
right?
whatever the weird ticker is for Grayscale Ethereum that I bought like
LGB
a month or two ago. That's I'm not selling my $1,000 worth. It's fine.
Well, you got a good discount.
Yeah, it's 50% off.
You got a good discount.
or it's worth nothing, right?
Yeah,
and that's
right.
that's money that I have not set free into my own custody, and I would not recommend people gamble around with like a measly 2x in your little discount there. Especially with all this going on with these big players fighting each other. I mean, look, it was CZ who brought down Sam Bankman-Fried by starting the bank run, and now it's Cameron Winklevoss who's asking Barry Silbert to pay the bill, basically, and Barry Silbert is accused of lying about it and stalling, and the subtext that I was picking up on is maybe Barry has some sort of scheme envisioned where like revenue from one of his businesses is meant to like pay off, to create the liquidity to like pay back what he lost, gambling basically, or whatever it was. This is all like, alleged, like what we're reading in the news, but I think that is particularly interesting that these big players are taking shots at each other and they're doing it all out in the open.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's like the gloves are off.
Yeah,
it's a wild time, and it's funny because it's like Richard annoys me sometimes. I'm sorry, he just does. But there are other times he is maybe the funniest fucking dude on Twitter. And it just made me think of like when CZ did that thing with Sam Bankman-Fried. Like Richard's tweet was just, "And you have won the Game of Thrones."
There you go.
It just fucking cracked me up so hard because it was just like, because it's so much like that. It's like all the houses are just jockeying. I don't know if anybody's a Game of Thrones fan, but it's like all just the different little sectors are jockeying for position of like power and authority and whatever. And man, it was just brutal, and it was just so funny, and just the timing was, and timing in comedy is everything. So it's like it was
everything.
Perfect. Yep. And speaking of comedy, if I may add something in here, I talked to Maddie about it, and I think Freddie and like a couple other like what I consider like real life friends. I had the opportunity to go see Dave Chappelle for his New Year's Eve show, which was super fun, a great show. And then if anybody's ever seen Dave, it's like my light's freaking out. The Illuminati is trying to stop me talking about this, but the thing about Dave shows is he's the one that kind of got the Yonder case craze going. So I don't know if you've ever been to a concert or a comedy show or whatever where they basically make you lock your phones up. So there's some where they used to take your phones, and then that was a debacle. And then so that Yonder is a really smart company. They came up with this idea of this padded case with this magnet closure, and when you go into an event, you got to put your phone in the case, and it locks it up so you can't be on your phone during the show. So it's really cool because it's almost like a flashback to like the 90s or before, when you would go to a concert and like everyone's in the same moment. Like no one's on their phone, no one's distracting you with their phone in the air trying to record some shit or like texting away or periscoping or whatever the fuck, whatever goes on now. So all that, it's like, which is fine, it has its place now, but it's really a nice throwback. And then also for things like comedy, which it's very important that your act doesn't get out there before you have a chance to come to someone's town to be seen, because then they know all your jokes, or or maybe you're working out material that's going to be on your next Netflix special or whatever. So there's all kinds of reasons to not have your phone. The bummer is like if you get an opportunity to like have a super great seat or actually get to like meet some cool people, like you don't have your phone, so you can't take any pictures of anything. So it's like, trust me, I was there, and then I had happened to talk to HEX, the lovely young lady from the Denmark, the Netherlands, whatever. She's like, gotten a huge Twitter following over this year. I'm surprised you don't have her on the list, Matt. You should invite her to the conference. I don't know if she does a lot of streaming though. I just see a lot of Twitter activity. She's really busy, but we were chatting in the background. I'd helped her out with some Twitter technical difficulties a while back, so we've gotten to be friends. And I told her where I'd been. So she tweets it, and it's kind of like, it's like I didn't really necessarily want that tweeted, but it is true. And it's like, I have been friendly with Dave and his life for years. I used to bartend at a cool little club that they would frequent like 25 years ago, and we've just stayed in touch, and they've been really friendly, kind people. So they've given me access to like backstage and different things over the years. And yes, I have been shilling HEX to them since before All Time High. Now, whether or not they have looked into it already or, are going to or whatever, who knows? But it would be cool if, someone like that were to take an interest, or people in his circles. I don't know who else are big comedy fans, but like Donnell Rawlings was famously like Ashy Larry on the Chappelle Show. He's always involved in Dave's shows. He wasn't there for New Year's, but I thought like Donnell might be a guy that's into it. He does, is it Blue's Clues? The dog, like the kids' dog based animated series, or Paw Patrol. So, but super funny comedian. DJ Trauma is like his DJ that he takes on tour with him, has for years. Super cool following, great Instagram presence. But you never know. You never know who's going to be the guy that like gets into it and then starts talking to their circle of people. And then they're like, hey, this is something definitely worth looking into. And then they invest, and then more people become aware. And that's what it's all about, right? It's like about educating people about what we think is, truly transformative technology in crypto that could quite literally change finance as we know it and the broader world. So, use your opportunities where you can, is my opinion. And it doesn't hurt to share what you know with people. And worst cases, they can be like, you're a crypto crazy person, I don't want to talk about that anymore. So or they take an interest and they dig into it. So
yeah. And if 38% APY sounds too scammy when you're pitching to anybody like that, or anybody in general, I hope someday soon you'll be able to pitch them Time Pays Me, which can get them used to the idea of like crypto's the future, and it's provable because you can time lock anything that you believe in, whether it's Ethereum or Pulse, any token on Pulse Chain or PulseX. I'm really hoping that will be a positive force for the HEX community.
I think so. I'm excited about it, man. It's like everything that, you and I talked a little bit early on, when you were kind of fleshing it out, and then to see the progress so far, it's like, I think it's great. I think it's going to be a great onboarding tool. I think it's going to be a good thing to really help people take more control of their finance. The whole idea about decentralized finance is like, self-sovereignty, like you really taking control and keeping control of your coins. And your keys, right? And so the more tools that people have, and the more demystified it can become by people articulating it and educating about it properly, is paramount for that to become, broadly adopted mainstream thing, because it's a lot of smoke and mirrors to people at this point. So
look, there are 3 coins in particular that I think are going to blow people's minds if they lock them up. I think Pulse Chain and Pulse X, both being deflationary, is a situation where you don't have to explain how you have some APY coming in from inflation. And inflation is something that like scares people if they don't realize like you're getting paid the inflation, like it's all balanced if you lock it up long enough and that kind of stuff. But like with Pulse Chain and Pulse X, like the fundamentals, in my opinion, are so great. Like I need to lock up my coins and have them drip back to me. Otherwise, I'm going to screw up my plan to DCA over many years. Like I know, because I've had so much luxury with HEX to like be able to do it. So so holding coins that are deflationary creates like not exactly APY, but I mean it depends how you think about it.
Well,
But
it's a nuanced risk to the space, which I think you address with this, because it's like people understand the volatility of crypto. People understand, Richard said it as not ad nauseum. It's like we all know this to be true. You invest in the wrong coin, you're going to lose all your money. You invest in the right coin, you might not ever have to work again. But the subtext of that is maybe you invested in the right coin, but then you sold it on a double.
Yes.
And it went up 10,000x, right? So I mean, that's where tools like yours, I think, come into play to really address that other issue, which is like, how do you psychologically manage the volatility of something like crypto, right?
The cherry on the top is in my opinion, going to be the ability to use Time Pays Me to drip Maximus DAO tokens back to yourself. Because you're going to have a situation, let's say, for example, with DESI, which is the 10-year wrapped HEX stake. You're going to be able to drip that back to yourself up to in between 0 and 55 years. And the contract, when it reaches 10 years, if you have your DESI tokens locked in Time Pays Me, it'll get renewed basically by the Maximus DAO. If you don't redeem during a certain period, like there's only a certain period to redeem. So you could time lock for 30 years with Time Pays Me, your DESI tokens. And then after 10 years, the 1/3 that's stripped back to you, that would be redeemable on the spot if you haven't sold them every year, every week along the way, which is fine too. But it's just so beautiful that you're getting, you're getting the rewards of a 10-year stake. You're not paying a high premium right now, right? I bought DESI the other day, and it was within 5%, maybe 1 or 2% of a premium. But I would also predict, and the reason why I'm so excited about it too is not just how rewarding it is and teaching people the behavior of like, wow, HEX is actually paying me, because like, if I did a year-long time lock, every week I can get 2% out, or on a 10-year lock, every week I can get 0.2% out. It's like, it's rewarding you so I guess on such a good time scale. And then on top of that, if there's any kind of demand for it, it's going to leave these coins at a premium, and then people will deploy more contracts, like which will lock up more HEX and make it tradable, and then make it lockable. And so it's people heard me like make an argument against wrapped HEX stakes 1 to 2 years ago, and this is, in my opinion, a great solution where people can, consider if any of these tokens did any of the Maximus DAO tokens, did they trade at a discount? I think they may have at one point.
Yeah, they did.
I think right after
some
the launch.
considerable at times. Yeah, it's like, depending on how closely you watched it, it's like the DESI and the it's funny because the base, I think it's kind of in relative to people's comfort level with the length. So base seemed to hold pretty close to value of current value of HEX. Trio a little less so, but the further you got out, the more discount was there, until people started to kind of see the value proposition. I mean, my thing is like, I don't read code, and it's like, and I'm not disparaging any of these other things, but it's like, the thing that I always try to drive through to anyone that I'm talking to one-on-one on this is the vast majority of what I've gotten. I think, Maddie, you as well, is native hex stakes.
Oh yeah.
Because anytime you're interacting with any of this other stuff, it's like there is counterparty risk involved inherently. And so I would just encourage people where like these things are exciting, and potentially could amplify your gain, or have other ancillary benefits. There are risks to be considered. So the hex contract is operated flawlessly for over 3 years now, and so that's where the vast majority of my thing is. That being said, I think there's room to be able to take a portion of one stack, whether it is a yield that they've earned in their hex staking ladder, or whether it is free coins they've got, or whatever that they want to utilize to diversify into some of these other derivative plays. I don't see any problem with that, and I think it broadens the conversation and keeps it interesting for people. Because honestly, just having a bunch of hex native stakes gets kind of boring after a while. So it's kind of fun to talk about these other dynamics that these things bring to the table. But I just always beat the drum, like careful, make sure you got your hex native staking ladder first, and then do whatever you want.
I'm 99.5% or more in native.
Yeah, same.
I think where it gets really exciting to me is also not just how we can experience something new that we can interact with more, and feel like we're doing something on the blockchain, but to bring in that next group of people who wants a use case, wants something exciting, wants something. Time Pays Me can also allow basically reversing a single hack, without giving somebody control of your wallet ahead of time.
Yeah,
that's another breakthrough too. So
sometimes I'm afraid to say too much, because it's like I feel like there's always like sometimes too much skepticism, but I mean a healthy amount generally in crypto. And it's like I don't want people to think like I'm not invested in Maddie's thing. It's like I like Maddie.
It needs to be criticized.
Yeah, but it does. Yeah,
and,
I'm very excited for it. It's like, but at the same time, it's like I want to see the audit or the code or whatever he's doing as it comes out. I want to make sure it's safe and all that. But if all those things come to pass, it's true. It's like I think it's fucking genius. It's like, and I don't have a problem saying that. But as always, everyone do your own research. Be careful. And I mean, Maddie's like one of the most cautious people I know in crypto, and it's like I can't imagine that he's not going to really do his damnedest to make sure that everything is like on point before he dare expose himself to what that would do to his reputation that he's
you only get one chance.
You get one shot, man. Yeah.
To launch a smart contract. And
right.
And so that's actually that's at the stage we're at right now, is where we've got the blockchain code finalized, and it now it needs to be audited by as many people as possible. And so I'll probably be reaching out to Pulse Police and Certic and all the usual suspects that give the kind of confidence and the reputation as well that this group of people has wisely come to require. We Hexicans we need to verify. We need to, and I'm glad you brought it up, because people do need to be able to separate how much they like a particular broadcaster versus like doing their own research. And in my opinion, like it's a great opportunity. Like I want the audience here to understand what an audit is, what it means, to walk through it. I want them to get a walkthrough of every line of code in Time Pays Me, and so no expectations, and I can't promise something without talking to my team, but the idea here is the reason I've teamed up with the people I've teamed up with is because they're the best, both ethically, morally, and when it comes to competence. So that's really exciting to get going. And yeah, it's all very overwhelmingly positive for me here. Like I'm happy that everybody's depressed in the crypto market. That means we're close to the bottom. I'm happy that all of these centralized places are blowing up. I'm I'm happy that I didn't do anything wrong in the last 3 years and can, stand up to SEC scrutiny. I'm happy to be alive, that I didn't die in the car accident 8.5 weeks ago. I'm happy about the HEX conference, and time pays me. So lots to be thankful for already in 2023.
Sorry, I was distracted. Briz is trolling me in chat.
What's he saying?
He's like, so what do you say? Where's he at?
Why doesn't he come on screen?
Yeah, come on, Briz, show yourself.
I'll send him the link.
He's like, sell your HEX for shitcoins. Got it, Toby. It's like, no, that's not what I saw at all. So I replied. I said, no, Briz, sell your BTC for HEX. So anyone that knows, Briz is still hanging onto his bag of BTC. But hey, you know what? It's his money. Whatever he wants to fucking do.
Bitcoin. You got a Bitcoiner?
I know. The Bitcoin.
Hey,
Bitcoin,
yeah.
Bitcoin,
I don't know. Bitcoin, I got a little bit of Bitcoin that's in such cold storage. I can't even get to it.
I got rid of all mine just before big payday.
Like, nice. Yeah. I dollar cost averaged out.
Yep. And then it went to all-time highs. So for a minute there, I was like, oh, damn, that was like the worst timing ever. But it's all relative, you know what I mean? Because it's like you pick a point in time, and it's like you're a genius or you're an idiot. It's like that's crypto, right? It's like because it's very volatile, and it can look a little dire depending on what snapshot you're looking at. So, yeah, I think if everybody just learns to zoom out, delay their gratification, understand, TShares and staking ladder and all the stuff that we've just gone over ad nauseum for years. And that's why it's, I have such respect for guys like Maddie and other people that are just out there still talking about the same stuff over and over. It's like, I don't know how you guys do it. It's like I get bored easily. So it's like I get attracted to shiny things. I'm a guy that'll definitely pay attention to shiny stuff. But, having that core staking ladder in place has really helped stabilize me. So it's like I'm not moving my money around, right? Because number one, I can't, and number two, it's kind of shown me the benefits of how I didn't have the opportunity to jump from one thing to the next, which most of the time fucking wrecks you. Just let's be real about it. And then over time to see like that. And it's like I don't delineate things in like dollar terms anymore. It's like that was also kind of a mental like fuck you to myself. It's like if you start looking at the dollar thing, especially if you're staked for I'm staked for an average of like 7-8 years, I think. It can mess with your head. So I just look at things in terms of HEX. Like I have more HEX every single day. And that's pretty awesome. And then when I can break it down and be like, hey, it's this many days that I've generated another 100,000 HEX. It's like, that's fucking awesome. And then, of course, my math brain will kick in and I'll be like, okay, well, at all-time high, at 50 cents, that's $50,000. It's like, oh my God, I'm making that much in HEX yield in how many days or in how many weeks or how many, that's bonkers, And then you start, and there's just, I don't know, there's so many rabbit holes to go down. And that's why I'm like, on this thing lately, especially if anybody's paid attention on Twitter, of how important it is to like, cross-pollinate, like to be able to be open and discuss things with other communities. Because I think what happens is it's like if you draw too much of a hard line, it's almost like politics, right? Like if you're for candidate B and I'm for candidate A, and I come in and I'm like, Maddie, I'm like, candidate B's a fucking retard. It's like, he's senile, he's backward, he's racist, he's whatever, right? If that's the first thing I say to you about candidate B, are you going to listen to anything I have to say about candidate A? No. It's like your defenses are going to go up immediately. Conversation's over before it starts. And you're done. You're out. Well, my thing is I have uber confidence in, and I've put my money where my mouth is repeatedly, that HEX is the best store of value ever created, full stop, right? So I want to be able to have those conversations with other people. So is it fence riding? Is it, being a kumbaya tard or whatever, which I think is a hilarious term, but, or is it actually keeping a conversation going and maybe mitigating the damage for these people as individuals and for the broader adoption of HEX? Because it's like if they just like rage quit because they've been hated on because they paid attention to another thing and then they take their bags and go home. There are people, it's like me. It's like there is part of me that still wants to invest in LTC because I feel like Charlie Lee owes me $14,000. But there's another part of me that's like, that guy fucked me. It's like, fuck that guy. I don't care what that chart is looking like. I don't care how tasty the TA is on any given day. And I still look at it every once in a while because that one, it's got a thorn in my side. I lost some money on LTC. Bothers me. I don't like losing. But there's a bigger part of me that's like, I will never, ever, ever invest in LTC again. I don't care if I can get my money back. Fuck that guy. And that's the thing. I don't want people to look at us or at Richard and have that mentality, because they're limiting themselves and they're limiting an opportunity for, this thing to really get out there to the world and do what it's been built to do. It's not about Richard. It's a code. It's a smart contract on the blockchain that's going to run independent of all of us. When Maddie's time pays me is dripping shit out in 55 years and most of us are dead, all this stuff's still going to keep trucking, and it's important that people understand the underpinnings and not get hung up on personalities or attitudes or judgment. That's my thing, and it's like I, infamously or famously or whatever, got unfollowed by Richard recently. And I'm not going to lie, it kind of sucked. I was one of the first 150 people he followed, and it was a little bit of a bummer. Like, oh man, he unfollowed me. It's like, I feel like dad was looking down on me, right? Even though I'm 10 years older than him.
What did you do?
Well, that's the thing, is I actually DM'd with him about it, and he didn't accuse me of like overtly shilling, because I'm like, bro, it's like I've never shilled anything but Hex. It's like, what's up? And he goes, and I explained to him, I said, all I'm doing is communicating with the Pulse Doge community that's all hot to trot right now because ASICs and Pulse Bitcoin is doing so well. And so he replied back with just like rapid fire, like short replies of like, well, GT got everybody into Ampleforth, and then like Hexy and Wise and Axion, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, open comms to vampire attacks, lots of laughs. And that was it. That was the end of the conversation. So basically, I mean, the gist I took was, no, you don't communicate with these other guys. And for me, it's like, that was kind of a bridge too far. It's like, there are some that are overt scams and overt, vampire attacks. And I mean, we can speak to that. But, I think that there's value, but you got to pick and choose. It's like Axion, nah. Hexy, no. It's like, obviously, it's like those kind of things, in my opinion, Wise, garbage, obvious scam bullshit. It's like, so there's no reason to talk to those people, in my opinion. But then there's things like, the Pulse Doge community or Hedron or the Maximus guys that are obviously worth talking to. Now, Richard's given Hedron and Maxi and those guys a pass, but, he's was maybe a little triggered.
I haven't.
Right, yeah, exactly. And some of us haven't. And that's
You're such a hard ass.
Everyone's got their own opinions of like what's comfortable and what's not. And it's like, I'm not 100% sold on all the Maximus DAO stuff. It's like, I think Maxi's good. Polly was like, that was a little bit of a red flag to me, how that happened. I mean, we could go down to these rabbit holes, but everyone's got their own opinions about these little subsets, and that's okay, but we need to be able to talk about them intelligently and respectfully. So if you really think that what you have is the best thing, then you have to be able to communicate that to people, to either get them to not rage quit, to keep investing in it, or maybe, just maybe, and this is the case, I could show you some DMs in private, Maddie, where there are people that have made a bunch of money on Pulse Bitcoin and ASICs that weren't in Hex at all, and now they are. Because why? I fucking talked to him, and I explained to him, hey, this has got a 3-year track record. Probably not a bad idea to diversify some of those gains into this other thing. I mean, you do you, it's your money. But this is what I've done. And, and if people want to take their free money and make more free money with it, and then take that gain later and put it into Hex, the best store of value ever, what do you think my opinion is on that? Get the fuck out. So it's okay for people to have different tactics of how they get the word out. And it's, and my follower account on Twitter's blown up since Richard unfollowed me. So it's like, did Richard just pull some crazy 3D chess on me and like to get a broader reach and fire me up to like let even more people outside our community know about Hex? I mean, Richard probably doesn't give a shit. He probably doesn't even know who I am, but it's like, it's funny to think about, the unfollow, whatever. My thing was, it's like, I did get a little triggered for a minute, to be fair, where it's like, I felt like it diminished my reputation, because it's like, I'm to lump me in with scam shillers that was hurtful. Did he do it knowingly? I don't know. I mean, it was pretty broad strokes. I mean, like he nuked Abit. I mean, Abit's like one of the biggest. I mean, he unfollowed Abit. He unfollowed me. I don't know who else, larger names in the community they unfollowed. But I mean, it was pretty broad sweeping cleaning of house. Did he have ulterior motives? Was he just upset? Who knows? I mean, in the broad scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to keep doing me. I believe in Hex. And I like Richard, and there's some things I don't like about his tactics, and there's things that I think are utterly brilliant. So that's being a human, right? So, buy HEX, stake it, chill, take your free shit, do what you want with it. If you make more money by hanging on to it or transforming it and mining it into this other thing, then you have even more capital to put over into the best store value. Ta-da. That's me in a fucking nutshell. I'll put it on a t-shirt. Whatever. Thank you for letting me rant.
Well, yeah, and this is critical game theory because it's giving us more insight into like how this decentralized community is operating out in the open. And I think that's one of the most fascinating parts of HEX to me, as having a psychology background and everything, is seeing the social layer, the layer 0, play out. And I think that it's something where you could probably even talk to like some experts out there and they wouldn't all agree on like what the latest, play in each social situation is. But when we look at vampire attacks specifically within the crypto space, and we try to, for me, when I try to understand what's going on here, like it seems to me that certain projects, that this is going to be an ongoing temptation, that anything in the HEX community, even if it's not launched as a vampire attack, has the potential to become one if it starts copying some of the important characteristics of HEX. And you'll recognize that for me, I backed off of offering a coin or giving APY or anything from Time Pays Me for specifically that reason, that I like explored it. I got people's feedback. I talked to over 100 people in the HEX community face to face. And it's something, in my opinion, we still need to figure out, like what is the effect of people, rallying around Pulse Dogecoin because it, because it gave HEX stakers free rewards and an awesome airdrop, and then it turns into something where you're time locking and trying to earn yield, and there's there have been so many examples before, as you mentioned, in HEX where the vampire attack started off as a clear copy of HEX.
Right. Well, and it's all variations of trading if you think about it, right? Because I mean, even with Hedron and Icosa and the derivative plays, the debt, like the perpetuals, all those things, Pulse Doge, ASICs, Pulse Bitcoin, all that stuff. Because the thing is, it's all timing, right? So it's like if you decide that on day one, like I did, or well, did I sell it all at once? Like when I got my uni airdrop, Maddie, you were around for that. Crispy, I think you were too. Most people, what do? We sold it for HEX. Now, had you waited a little while until uni pumped and HEX was kind of coming back down, you would end up with way more HEX. So was it a great idea? I feel good about it. I mean, I ended up with a bunch of HEX that I wouldn't have got otherwise. I took my free money. I staked it. I've been making yield on those stakes. Whatever.
It's 1 million HEX.
It's right. It's
if you staked it long.
Yeah. It's not a small amount, and it was free money that was given to the community, for having been early into Uniswap, thankfully for Richard, right? And then it's like same with 1inch, same with those other things. So with Hedron or with Pulse Doge or any of those things, it's like depending on if you're going to get Riz is up. So depending on when you get in and out of them, it's like you could be reducing your overall asset value, right? And then that is ultimately not good. And I think that that's where Richard's just like not wrong in just, hey, HEX and only HEX, native stakes, whatever. He's not going to shit on things that are trying to get more adoption into the community. But ultimately, his thing is he doesn't trust that people are going to choose the timing properly. And they're going to end up not necessarily wrecked, but maybe just not as much economic energy as they would have had otherwise by just staking it, chilling, shut the fuck up, go make some changes in the real world. Ta-da, right? What's up, Riz? Can I give you a hug now?
Hey, guys.
Or do we have to work it out?
You have to do a digital hug.
I love you, Briz.
I love you too, but you gotta quit being such a crybaby about Richard.
Oh, man.
I mean, Richard unfollows you, and the next thing I hear, you're on this stream earlier saying, I can't stand Richard Hart. Hey, everybody, you did.
You did. Yeah, you did.
And then you said, hey, guys, you should diversify your HEX. into other objects or other coins.
That's
It's
not
like,
what I said, bro.
You
That's
did
not what I
say
said.
that.
Roll
You
it
did
back.
say.
No,
Hey, play back the play it back. Play the replay back.
Roll it
Look, this is a therapy intervention for Tobiwan, but we haven't gotten there yet. So I want to hear from
Oh.
ChrispyMan. Thank you, Briz, for paying such close attention and being a part of the intervention.
Look,
Oh, wow.
hey,
Damn.
look, I love you.
Like
I
a
don't want to see you
sucker
get
did.
fudded out. I
I
don't
got
want to see you get
sucked in.
fudded out. You
Don't
know,
worry, I'm not
I
gonna rage quit and tell you
understand.
meds. Don't
I
worry.
understand what it means to be like,
golden child.
unfollowed and have that kind of that lover's, knife stuck in your back. Because guess what? I tweeted about ASIC coin. I
What?
tweeted the truth. I said, hey, look, guys, I'm getting 60% a year right now. That's pretty cool. It's making like 6% like a month or something. And so
Yeah,
I'm like, hey, 60% a year ain't bad.
Right.
Guess what? Richard unfollowed me too.
Oh,
But
dude.
do you see me crying like a little bitch all over fucking Twitter?
Hey,
No.
No.
I'm sorry about the language.
No,
Hey, look,
you're
man,
good,
all
I
you're
get it. I
doing
understand.
is giving the Hex haters more ammo to use against us.
Well,
And
I've
what
gotten
we
100
need is
I've gotten-
positivity
Yeah,
and just like, hey,
I
if
know,
he
but it's like-
unfollowed you, realize maybe you did something wrong and
Right.
fix your actions. And
Right. Are you fixing your actions to get refollowed?
I don't care if he follows me. That's not the point.
Right. Same.
That's the thing. It's like, guess what? My ego isn't dependent on other people's likes and follows.
Yeah,
I know we're in the social media age, but I don't know.
I got you.
You're
Well,
hey,
well, okay, let me
you're old
clarify.
enough. You
Oh,
should.
yeah. I'm older than you, I think. But
Yeah.
let me clarify
no.
something, if I may. All right, here's the deal. And this is the nuance, and that's what's so hard about social media or text communication in particular. The follow was not or unfollow was not the thing. The thing was I didn't want other people that weren't as familiar with my history and what I've done in the Hex community to try to build it and get more people to adopt it, and all the onboards I brought on, to have my reputation diminished with this labeling that is a perception by some people. Because, like, dude, it's like I got a fucking death threat. I mean, it was a brand new account. It was Anon. It was somebody probably just fucking with me. But they were literally telling me they were going to shoot me in the fucking head if I went to the Hex premiere. It's like, that's fucked up, right? And then I had other people that blocked me and other people that unfollowed me and whatever. So my point was, like, you're diminishing my reach and you're diminishing, like, one of your soldiers' ability to do what we've been doing time and time out. And we're not, he doesn't employ us. We don't get paid by him. We're doing it because we love the product and what we're doing. So to me, it felt like a little heavy-handed, and he didn't necessarily understand the broader ramifications. But now that I've had a little time to sit with it, it's like, fuck it. It's like people are going to do what they're going to do.
Not that big of a deal.
It's not that big of a deal, right? And it's like, so it's like if it came off like that, okay, whatever. But I'm open to a fault. I think other people can commiserate with the feelings, and I can laugh at, you saying that I'm crying all over Twitter. I don't feel like I was crying. I think it was like just me emoting, and I know that that's uncomfortable for some people.
Someone sent you a death threat because of that shit, bro. Which
Dude,
I 100% do not condone. Nobody should be sending anyone death threats. That's fucking ridiculous.
It's silly,
but
dude.
with that said,
I mean, even if like the gun emoji was green, it's like, and they think it's funny. It's not fucking funny, dude. My fiance's freaked out. She wants me to kill all my socials. She doesn't want to go to any more meetups. She doesn't want to go to the premiere of the movie, which is like, I invested a lot of money to be part of the Highest of Stakes. It's like one of the cool things is going to be on that fucking red carpet whenever it premieres. She doesn't want to go. She's terrified.
So,
you know what
Toby,
I mean? So it's fucked up.
Toby, I heard everything you just said, and I kind of agree. What happened to you happened to you. You're like, your reputation was diminished. Someone did send you a death threat, all that, but that's only because you did it to yourself. If you had not tweeted nothing, no one would have known he unfollowed you.
Do you know what I tweeted?
You did it all to yourself.
Do you know what I tweeted?
You tweeted a freaking days worth of crying.
No, to get unfollowed.
I don't care. But your reaction is what caused all that blowback.
Well,
I blocked you on Twitter, not because Richard unfollowed you.
You didn't want to hear
but
it.
because of the crying. And now
it.
you're on here crying about it. Anyways, I just want to say,
but you're
I've waited for this level of drama my entire Hex streaming career. You guys are bringing the Jerry Springer energy.
Can I add
get
in
a folding chair and I want?
Can I add in that this episode is sponsored by Advil and icy hot patches? All right, it's like I've had some chronic.
We don't have
it makes
rub the icy hot all over your butt. All right,
dude. I tell you what, I used to play tennis. I used to have Bengay patches. Didn't realize till after the fact I'm also like a bad sweater. I sweat a lot. I'd have to like change shirts between sets. All of a sudden, in the middle of a match, my balls are on fire, bro. And it's because the sweat had run through the patch down my back.
This is way off topic.
Way off topic. Maddie doesn't like that. So let's get back on the point. So no burning balls with Bengay.
There's a real issue here of, you know, what does it mean to promote something other than Hex? And, you know, the contradictions in that with, like, you know, we all want what's best for the Hex community. We all want to have freedom of speech. We all want to have our reputation recognized for all the things that we've done for the Hex community. I think as our followings continue to grow, it's probably going to become more challenging. You know, this is all, you know, this is all being tested. You know, the Pulse Dogecoin airdrop, you know, it's something that was never done before, based on certain ranks of how many TShares you had and that sort of thing. And then for them to go on and to build some things that now more closely resemble Hex than it did at first, I think that's my prediction, is that there's going to be more and more situations that start off kind of in a gray zone and then
bro,
it's going to be hard to tell.
I was on a balcony with Jack. All right.
Yeah.
I was on a balcony in Vegas with Jack. It's like, dude, a month or so after that, I thought to myself, I should dangle that motherfucker over the edge. It's like, I was not a fan of how he kind of got his way into the community. And, you know, and to me, that was a vampire attack.
Now Jack is going to be scared to go onto balconies. Didn't we just say
whatever, dude? I'm not hurting anybody. It's like, and look,
yeah.
It's like,
now his wife won't let him go to meetups.
Drink over the edge, let alone a man. But but the deal is like, I get it. It's like there are definitely like vampire attacks that are pretty obvious when you look at him. It's like, you know, this guy's out of nowhere. People sucked him off because it's like, oh, he's a Google guy, and it's like, oh my God, he's paying attention to Hex. It's like, we got to suck him off because it's like we want his bags and our project, and he's going to support us and he's going to lift us all up. And then it was pretty obvious what was going on in short order. That kind of stuff I get, right? You know, my whole contention is like, there are ways to play these things. Like, if there's people that want to go fuck around with that protocol and do that, and they're making gains, we understand that it's because other people are losing, right? Because it's the Ponzi of fucking commerce. Someone else is buying your bags. You minted it for free.
Trading is a zero-sum game, or a negative-sum game.
Bingo, exactly. But here's the deal. It's like, if we ostracize those people that got distracted by the shiny thing and became, you know, Jack Suck Puppet, then we can say all those things and we can be real negative about it. And then they can get real pissy with the Hexagons as a community or with Richard or any of it. And then guess what? What do they do with their gains? They either keep gambling them and lose them, which most people do, or they start to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take some of my gains and put it in Bitcoin because that's the best store of value. Guess what? I don't think it's the fucking best store of value. I think Hex is the best store of value. So if I can keep lines of communication open with those kind of communities, however they got involved with us or without us is irrelevant, is the way that I look at it. You know, it's like, I'm just not that hardliner. It's like, we got enough of those guys. There's enough of those guys that are going to burn you to the ground if you even fucking say ASICs. You know?
For anybody who's listening audio only, what I've just put on the screen is a comment from Cabana Crypto. Shout out to you. He says, if Jack's a vampire, he could turn into a bat and fly off the balcony. No worries there.
Dude, have you seen Johnny Chaos's interpretation of Jack as like the Count Dracula character? Oh my God.
It's a good one.
It's so funny.
It's a classic.
But Burns, I love you, bro. It's like, I understand where you're coming from, and I can see how it can feel like that, you know, and how it can look like that. It's like,
it makes you feel any better. Johnny Chaos, he blocked me.
What?
Yeah, I put up a funny pro Hex meme, and he didn't like it.
He didn't like it.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's Twitter. At the end of the day, it's Twitter. It's like my fiance gets on me all the time. She's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "You've been on Twitter for hours." And I'm just like, yeah, it's like, I mean, that's kind of my entertainment, you know. It's like there's parts of it that maybe appear that I'm taking it more seriously than I am, but I'm passionate about it. And it's like, I'm all about integrity, right? You only get one chance, in my opinion, in life to, it's your name. It's like I famously will retweet this little clip from the movie The Crucible, and it's, I can't remember the character's name now, John something, but it's Daniel Day-Lewis is playing the character, and basically they're asking him to kind of like sell out for like to literally save his own life, and he can't do it. And it's like this famous crying scene. It's like, but it's my name, you know. And it's like, that's kind of how I feel about it. It's like, I've always tried to be brutally honest. Sometimes it pisses people off, you know, but I'm also pragmatic. It's like, I know how to update my worldview about things. And the reality of it is like, when right before you came on, Maddie and I and Crispy were talking about Uniswap, and if you sold it as soon as you got it. If you sold your Pulse Doge as soon as you got it, HEX was at 14 cents. Pulse Doge was $1. How much HEX did you get? If you hung on to it for a while and sold it at $7 when HEX was down to 4 cents, seems to me like you got a fuck ton more HEX. So maybe that was not a bad idea to hang on to that for a minute.
It was a gamble to hold on to it. It could have went to zero.
It could have went to zero.
It could have went to zero, and you could have had no HEX.
Exactly.
That's true. That's
Trading
true.
But now you're
Right.
infinitely up. You have infinite more HEX now than you did before that
Absolutely.
airdrop.
You've been
Right.
cheating on HEX.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
And now Richard left you.
Oh, give me a break. Come on now. So all I'm saying is it's like, and I
promoting holding on to these altcoins.
And what are you gonna do? Like, Briz, I'll ask you. It's like, what are you gonna do with your Pulse Bitcoin? Are you? I mean, if you got ASICs and you're mining with it, are you gonna just hold on to it? Or are you gonna sell some of it for HEX and store the value there? What's your take on it?
I don't know if I should say on air.
Right. See, and that's fair. And that's fair, right?
Good,
and that's,
passed the test. That was
bingo.
a trick question.
Right, and that's the thing. But the thing is that the people that aren't hardline hexagons and are not careful about talking about those things publicly, they're talking about it.
Hey,
they're talking about what they're going to do with those things.
With that said, because I'm a hexagon, I got Pulse Doge for free, which converted into ASIC for free, which is converted into Pulse Bitcoin for free. So I have it. But guess what? I got it all for free. I'm not really promoting people to buy into it because,
same.
You know, whatever. But I'm just saying, like, I'm in that ecosystem because I got it all for free.
Absolutely, yeah. But to what you just said a second ago, it could still all go to zero, and you would have been better off selling the Pulse Doge when it was $1. Only time will tell. But it's
right now might be the best time to sell your Pulse Bitcoin.
Right.
It could go to zero.
Right.
Or it might go to
is that financial
each.
advice?
Right.
No. I'm just saying it could. Everything's a possibility.
Yep.
And how does Tobiwan win back Richard?
Oh, I don't give a shit. It's like Richard and I have DM'd for 3 years, bro. It's like, I mean, we know each other well enough. It's like, I don't think that this is personal. It's like, it's definitely not personal on my end. It's like,
you guys aren't treating this like Jerry Springer.
I'm sorry. I mean, I can't. I am me, bro. It's like I can't fake it.
Well, actually, you guys were doing a really good job earlier.
Yeah. The chair.
That's why our viewership went up like 20 people when Bristology came on.
That's like 30% increase. We had a whopping 60 at the beginning.
Yeah.
So drama is good. And outreach marketing.
Drama's not necessarily bad. People like watching it, bro. It's like, look at reality TV. It's like it gets people tuning in and talking and.
I've got the paternity results right here.
Yeah.
All right, you want some real drama? How about this? Jack launching his new deflationary coin or whatever. Wow, who would have thought infinite printing was a bad idea?
Right. Well, now he's doing a reflection token or some shit. I heard.
And it's a reflection token.
I know. It's like, what the fuck, bro? It's just comical. It's just comical. So I don't know. I mean, my thing is like, you know, whatever. It's like,
sorry, Jack.
Everybody, you get your free shit. Do what you want with it. You know, is it in long term probably safest bet? Sell it for HEX immediately. Stake it, right? But it's free. So if you want to fuck around with it, it's like it's your money. I'm not going to tell you what to do. We sacrifice for freedom of speech. That's the thing that's discordant with me. is like, how can we sacrifice for freedom of speech and at the same time tell people you can't even talk about what you want to do with your own free shit?
Look at what's been successful. The recipe for me is get community feedback. Don't like develop something in secret and then launch it. Like from what I've seen, it's not causal. It's just what I'm noticing is people who are just launching things. They're not thought out. They don't have feedback from the community. Hex had feedback from the community for a year or two, right?
So I have one to throw at you that we've talked about before, you and I met.
Please.
And so so this is a great example. People who are involved in the community sometimes go down this path where they want to do more stuff, whatever that is, right? And sometimes that results in them wanting to do a token, right? And so we have we have to live with this because it's happening, right? So whether we like that or not, you don't control the people. I mean, anybody can go create a token, so they do it. So we've got a well-known guy, I think he's well-known, who built backuphex.com. Kodiak. I call him website. Kodiak. Yeah, it is very good. Code AK. And he's launching a new token. He's been getting feedback and working on it for a long time. But his token is all about rewarding native hex stakers.
Hang on, I got to go to Twitter and block Crispy.
So I would be devastated. By the way.
Easy. Go ahead.
But so he's launching this token, and it's going to be a free claim for hex stakers. And so so here's a question, and it's all about this particular token. My understanding is all the bonuses and all that stuff, all wrapped around what we perceive as original hex people in the beginning as good staking behavior. Longer is better, bigger is better, not emergency end staking. So there's a number of different bonuses that are involved. But this is a great example. Is this something to talk about or is it not to talk about? Because, does it fall into the uni, classification where it's hey, it's okay to talk about it because you're going to buy it and sell it if there's liquidity? Or does it fall into vampire attack? I mean, it'd be hard for you to say it's a vampire attack, but I could understand somebody construing it that way because taking any energy away from the game could be construed as a vampire attack, right? Anyways, food for thought. But that was one of the topics I wanted to bring up. I had mentioned before because that is going to launch probably within the next couple of weeks, and people will hear more about it. And then all of a sudden we'll have to address, or we don't have to, but people will be asking, what about this? This communist coin. It's the COM token. I can get it for free. How do I do it? What's is it safe? All those questions will come through.
As long as I don't have to work for it.
That, bro.
Well, you have to push the buttons.
Like here's something to think about along the same lines that you were talking about, Crispy, is that, and I don't really like to say this out loud because I think it sounds insecure, but basically you got to remember, like, every dollar spent on weed is a dollar that doesn't go into crypto. And so if you're taking your dollars and you're investing it into these minor, let's just call them S coins, because like whatever, that's money that's not going into Hex, So, like I said, it sounds insecure because I'm like, oh, please put money in Hex. No, I'm just saying, like, you just got to remember there's technically not infinite wealth out there, or maybe there is, but each individual only has a finite amount of wealth that they can put their resources into. And so you just got to choose wisely. We got to figure out what we want to promote. Cause it's like, I like to promote Hex. I want to get the entire world more or less on Hex, more or less, because it's just like, we're building this boat. We're all in it together. This is the tide that lifts all boats. And so every time you go, oh, look at this brand new S coin over here, it's like taking a cup of water and lowering that tide and tossing it somewhere else. But that's all. That's my mindset. It's just like, hey, look, I like Hex. I think Hex is the shit. I don't really care about these other stores of value like Pulse Dogecoin, Pulse Bitcoin, things like that. Like this, we already got Bitcoin and we already got Hex, and Hex is better than Bitcoin because it has features that Bitcoin doesn't have, and that's why I'm a Hex guy. So I don't know. That's all I can think about is that you got to figure out where we're going to put these flows of capital. And if you just tell everyone, hey, buy this, buy Zen, and then buy the NFT, and now buy this. Come on, guys.
Right.
How many more fucking coins is Jack going to fucking invent?
Right. Or Trayvon, or all
the only
other,
reason why Pulse Chain was invented was solely for Hex. Because of the gas fees. And don't worry, guys, when I was just thinking about this other night, when Ethereum goes back up to like $4,000 and it cost $1,200 to end a stake, we're gonna be like, okay, that's why we have Pulse. Yep. A lot of people don't even realize that right now.
Here's a good question. Yeah. When's the last time you guys used the testnet?
Months ago.
I haven't been on.
As soon as I knew it was going to be an ETH2 copy, it's like, why bother?
I'll tell you why.
Please.
Tell me.
The update for V3 is, to my understanding, focused mostly on allowing bigger numbers to be compatible with the code. So like all the UI stuff that I don't remember being so good, like, is looking really good these days. It's looking really good. And when I think about like how to do demos, for the conference coming up and just, little things like go.tshare app is working on testnet. So is Hex, go.hex.com. It's working on testnet now. I tried it a few months ago. It wasn't working. It's working now.
Cool.
The swapping process on PulseX on testnet. Beautiful. You can see the different warning screens that come up when you do something with low liquidity. I think it was DAI that is an example of something on testnet that specifically probably has low liquidity in order to show you what the UI experience is, playing around with that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean,
I heard the dApps and stuff like that's all like kind of what's still being fleshed out, and it's all going to effectively, I can't remember who I heard talking about today, but effectively it's like all that stuff still is going to be more or less interacting with the same stuff. So it's like they can continue to do that, even though, because like some people are kind of like, well, why are we fucking with it? Because it's like that's not even the copy we're making.
Well, look, time pays
UI,
me.
right.
Time pays me on the private testnet is working fine between the go early. I used to pronounce it girly, but it's spelled go and then weird spelling of early. But the go early testnet, which is the ETH testnet, is working just fine. The same. I think it's the same code. So the point is that there's. I don't know. Again, I don't have any inside information. I'm just making my own observations as somebody who's a little bit more technically savvy than most, but not dev level. I think the user interface on these things is outstanding. It looks beautiful. It's beautiful websites, works on testnet. And so the V2B from a UI standpoint might not be much different than the final product. And getting the big numbers put in there. I mean, that's kind of
I don't ever hear anyone talking about these like little updates ever. And I know. I think those little updates would go so far. Because we gotta realize, Richard is in like a conundrum, meaning he could promise us and tell us everything and drive like a ton of value by promising work, but he's not legally allowed to promise us anything, really.
Right.
And so he's, I think, in a position where he's trying to not look like a promoter of like he's doing work, because he's trying to protect himself and thus protect all of us. But when you go kind of dark and you don't give these updates and you go, oh, I got a red team versus blue team, it's so vague. It creates FUD. It creates fear, uncertainty,
I
and
totally
doubt.
disagree. I think that I think it's the
Fight,
nature
fight,
of the
fight.
bear market that creates FUD. And I think it's people forgetting what no expectations means, which was that's what it was. The deal was no expectations. And the nature of airdrops is you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's fair.
You could take any airdrop you've looked at. If you looked at it right before they launched, they said that they were not doing an airdrop. Anyone you can think of, 1inch, Uniswap, like they blatantly lie about like whether they're going to do it.
Right.
And then it's a happy surprise if you qualify, and you never know what it's going to be to qualify. In this case, there's people sacrifice for pulse points and pulse X points, and that was freedom of speech, freedom of movement. And it's the exciting thing to me is the fact that I hate high fees. I hate that I get excited to pay only $1 to mint my Hedron these days. It's like, wow, what a great deal. On any other comprehensive blockchain like Pulse Chain it's going to be such a game changer in functionality. I think it's easy to get those two things confused. Like, oh, I was so enthusiastic to sacrifice for freedom of speech, freedom of movement, no expectations. And then at the same time, I'm excited about anybody who would build something that is so integrative and comprehensive as Pulse Chain. You've never had a DEX built in to a layer one solution. From launch, you have 120,000 people who are already ready to participate, and you have
so many projects
who are going to get an airdrop. Millions
projects being built. So
like
here's the question.
34 is what I heard.
So here's the question: how do you prove that you were expecting to get nothing after sending in $1,000, $5,000, $100,000? How do you prove that
it's the nature of sending something on the blockchain means it's not yours anymore? It's actually really simple.
But I think like in a court, they'd be like, well, I think you were expecting a pulse chain.
Look, so I'm in a particular position to have an opinion on on the legal side of things, and none of this is financial therapy or legal advice or tax advice or anything of the matter. But look, when I look around at the what the federal judges are actually doing when the SEC brings them something, they're saying we are following the law. That's what the court system is doing. Is saying we're following the law, not what the SEC is making up.
And the HEX Investment Trust also, right?
You have to consider every single person separately when you think of like whether somebody in the community is doing something right or wrong. Like that's kind of a complicated question. But when you look at, for example, like about 3 weeks ago, a federal judge ruled on like the Ethereum Max case that Kim Kardashian had settled out of. And it was a situation where the judge said, it's actually okay that you paid these celebrities to promote cryptocurrency because we don't want to make it illegal to advertise things. That's freedom of speech.
They just need to be upfront.
And so even in cases that are like, seemingly way worse than the HEX situation, where there are so many bad actors who are openly being bad, and getting slapped on the wrist by the SEC or like getting prosecuted or whatever you want to call it. Like there's still, in my opinion, there's still like decency and like justice at the actual court level. And that I think just gives me some hope when we think about like, you know, and I'm not a legal expert. I can't tell you like what a judge would say about the sacrifice and all that. But what, to me, the way I have heard it explained and stuff that kind of makes sense is, yeah, I mean, you know, if you send a transaction, that's different than a swap. There's no swap taking place. If you send money to an address on the blockchain, then those coins aren't yours anymore, plain and simple.
So my whole kind of point of bringing that up is like, how do you prove you were expecting to get nothing? Is just basically like, what if like it just takes just a certain amount of time, and then it's like, you know what, man, after 2 years or maybe a year and a half, yeah, you just weren't at that point. You're like, okay, this thing is obviously nothing's coming through. And then maybe after 2 years, things can be launched and released. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going on, but Hex did take 2 years to get going. And it just kind of seems like Pulse Chain is on track for that 2 year from sacrifice to launch phase, because everyone right now is saying another 6 to 8 months. I'm like,
Right.
oh man.
Yeah.
I'll react to that, and I want to hear everybody else's reaction. Is just like, no way, man. It's software. Like I'm working on software as somebody who's not a dev, just like Richard in some ways, and like it's simply it's as simple as unknown unknowns, and the amount of time it takes to get that done is unknown until you solve all the problems you run into.
But
And
EVMs are easy to work on, right? They're easy to code.
well, like let's think about
That was a
like,
joke. I was being sarcastic. Sorry.
well, I'm in some ways yes, and in some ways no. I'd say like it's you know, forking some. I mean, what Dogecoin, what was created in a weekend, Litecoin, you know, didn't take that much work to just fork something. So forks can be as simple or difficult as you want. If you go back to the Hex, Hex started as a Bitcoin fork, and in some ways ended up as a Bitcoin fork, which is something you don't hear a lot. But the reason that is because they did a UTXO output, and there was a list of addresses that could free claim, and
right.
that constitutes a type of fork. And the reason why Hex took so long, other than its own game theory, was the game theory of doing the free claim to Bitcoiners. That was like 2/3 of the code. So it's
You know,
it can be as complicated or as simple, I think, as people want to make it.
I just want to say lastly, like, you know, I'm just trying to build a coping mechanism on why this is taking so long. So I'm like, yeah, he has to wait 2 years. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
well, why didn't you just say that?
I'm coping.
Yeah. I think it's why. I mean, that's funny, but it's also true, and I think that everyone's doing that in their own way. And quite frankly, I think it's been the perfect storm. It's like the overall market's shit. You know, the money printers from the government, like the printing of money, has stopped. The quantitative tightening has started. The world economy has gone to shit. There's all kinds of reasons, right, for like everyone to be less certain than they were 2 years ago about their financial future. So therefore, they're less likely to take what would be considered disposable income to invest in a speculative asset. All these things are already working against us, right? Then on top of it, you know, this thing's taking longer than expected. The SEC stuff gets sprinkled in there. And why did that happen? Someone planted those seeds, right? There's speculation amongst the community, like, you know, of one person in particular that may have got this ball rolling. And, you know, that is, don't point at me, bro. Fuck no.
I don't think those rumors are true at all.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, and because somehow they had to become aware of it to like do the shotgun blast with people like yourself, Maddie, that they wanted to research and find out if there was something, you know, illegal transpiring, if there was non-disclosure that was happening or whatever. So I think that may, and this is obviously, I don't know, but it's like, to me, it seems like, okay, you get people that have over leveraged, or they invested money they couldn't afford to lose, or they had an expectation. Then all of a sudden that's not playing out the way they think, and they start to get nervous, right? So then there are those that want to burn it to the ground. They want to fucking just make trouble because they are not happy with how this played out. So now Richard's the big bad wolf. We're all scammers and complicit with this horrible Ponzi bullshit. And then they, put then the SEC and organizations like that have to do their due diligence. If they get a complaint, they have to look into it. So maybe that's how all that started. So it was a perfect storm that brought us to where we are. The bigger question is like, now what? Okay, great. I see tremendous upside when all this stuff comes to pass, that there was no wrongdoing on the part of any of the people that are under scrutiny right now, like yourself, Maddie. Richard doesn't pay for fucking lunch. Obviously, he's too smart to like try to be paying people to do this. And even if it wasn't disclosed, that's an issue for the SEC to work out with that individual, and then there would be fines imposed and what have you. Does that open up the broader question of is it a security? Maybe, because then that you could point to like a centralized entity trying to promote the thing. Maybe, right? But I don't think that that's how it's going to play out. And all of this is just going to be like a foundation to launch from, because it's like, guess what? We endured next level FUD, like crazy amounts of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And then all the little boo birds, whether they're sending fucking death threats to people like me, or they're just putting up all kinds of nonsense online, and just it's a feeding frenzy of trolls and people that want to like feed this drama fire. We endure all this. Fuck. Where do you think HEX is going to go? I just tweeted it the other day. It's like, once all this comes to pass, it's a nothing burger. Where do we go from here? And the market starts to settle down, and the bull market starts to come back, and the quantitative tightening lessens. I mean, to me, where do you want to be but in HEX, right? It's like, it seems like it's such a no-brainer.
I'm going to comment on what you said about the process here. I think you're probably dead on. I mean, I certainly don't know the facts, but it seems like you'd be exactly correct, right? So HEX launched 2019. The day it launched, there were panels of people, suggesting that the SEC should get involved, right? Right. Just go back to Tone Evase, right? And the lawyer panel. So clearly there were people who thought that, but there needed to be some reason for it, right? For actually there to be an investigation, which meant there had to be complaints, right? I mean, this is how it works, right? I mean, I suppose an agency could decide just to investigate because, but generally somebody complains, right? And so taking that one step further, we don't like this. This is a little insensitive to the people that have received letters. Maybe we don't like that this is happening, but how did we think it was going to happen anyways? Right? I mean, if there's ever going to be an investigation, what would it look like? It would look like this. I mean, what else would it look like? I guess there's the possibility that because apparently the SEC decides sometimes not to look at things. But I suppose I could have decided not to. But once they decided to look, what else is there to do but to contact people, ask them?
Yeah. I mean, the best part. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say I apologize, Maddie, but I welcome the SEC to look into us, because all it's going to do is secure us as a legitimate thing. And unfortunately, that means some of us are going to have to take the brunts for the other hexagons. And right now that seems to be Maddie.
Look, I have had tons of support, and it looks like my legal costs may be fitting in with the amount of donations that I got. So good. that is actually lining up kind of perfectly right now, which is a huge relief. The other thing that I like about being a HEX broadcaster is even after 3 years and that couple thousand hours or whatever it's been of streaming, it's like I'm I'm still waiting for somebody to explain to me how HEX is a security or Ponzi or a pyramid scheme. And it's been, I've attempted to understand HEX in those terms hundreds of times, and it just, it never appears to be such. And so it's like, there is the possibility of knowing something to not be a security. I mean, that's the whole great thing about the law. Having a law of the land, like that's the cool thing. It's like you can have some certainty. Now, there's never complete certainty of how something will shake out legally, because there's times when things, are done incorrectly or unjustly, right? But just in general, I'm very pleased. It's not like I'm ignorant on the subject or something. It's like I feel like I'm very knowledgeable about it, to the point where even let's take, for example, and this might be a good transition. There was a HEX mini series documentary that was just released in the past week.
Hexicans and the time value of money.
The fake fluencer and scam investigator himself, Tom Gillespie, was the one who has put together this mini series over the past year and a half. And certainly myself, I was unclear what his angle was going to be, or how it was going to be framed, which is why I decided to actually not do my interview with him, because he punked Vitalik in a way that I just thought was a bad look. Like, Vitalik's not going to do interviews with like small channels anymore, because Tom Gillespie like punked him so hard. And so I think that was really uncool, and that's why I didn't like Tom Gillespie. But after seeing, I've seen about 3.5 out of 4 episodes, and they're each about an hour 15 long. And there's a part I got to now where Eric Wall is trying to explain why HEX is a scam, or is why he doesn't like it. And it's like, this is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for this moment where he actually explains his reasoning, because he seems to be a pretty reasoned guy. And there's a direct quote in the movie of him saying that he didn't end up looking into HEX all the way. So he doesn't really know, but he's just looking at the exterior. He's looking at the surface level. And that goes to what Crispy was saying about the 2 lawyers that Tone Vays had on his stream the day HEX launched. And you can go back and watch that stream. I would highly recommend it.
It's mad.
I'll link to it at the end of this episode. It's like they've already decided before the interview has started that Richard is scamming people. So they're not even listening to the game theory. And as the game theory is presented, they're just trying to come up off the top of their head with reasons why HEX must be a scam. And isn't this so telling of how the entire crypto space got HEX wrong, and how there was more opportunity for us, the ones who understood it, and probably going forward, same story is going to be it's HEX is an IQ test that maybe gets a little bit easier over time for a lot of people, but not everybody's cracked the code yet on why trustless yield based on inflation that's paid to people who lock longer. That's a big leap forward for crypto. And so I think that it was a huge relief to hear Eric admit that he didn't know what he was talking about.
And you might not have gotten to the part yet, but he also admits that as time goes on, that it basically just the function of it not being a rug over time makes it more likely not a scam, which is really funny because it's like if you
Lindy effect.
Yeah, right. And the thing is like, as what was really interesting to me, and I thought was brilliantly, geniusly done by Tom in this miniseries, is how many crypto people that he talked to, and one of their chief complaints was about centralization being a bad thing. But then when he pinned them down to define decentralization, almost no one could. And then what they would invariably come around to was how, like, well, at the very least, things need to over time become more decentralized. And I was literally almost like jumping off my couch, like, ta-da! It's like, that's it, motherfuckers. It's like, how do you not understand that over time the OA gets diluted by not being staked? Long term, if this thing is 100, 200, 500-year project that just goes on forever, over time the OA becomes less and less significant, just like Satoshi. Right? Ta-da. And like people don't understand that. So in a weird backhanded way, he was getting them to kind of like endorse HEX without actually acknowledging it. But and there were a fair amount of people that were kind of like, I don't think it's a scam. It's like, this is how I think it's a good thing. And I mean, I thought it was really brilliantly done. I'd love to actually even watch it again, even though it was quite long. It's like 4 hours of stuff. It's only $25. I think it's important to pay people for their content. If they're asking to be paid for it, and he put the work in, and it's like people don't want to be doxxed or leery of paying through PayPal. Message
You
the
could
guy.
pay.
It's like,
You could
he's
pay
got
with
a donation.
crypto.
Yeah, he's got a donate. Yeah, you can pay with crypto. That I don't know. I was sketched out about the link on that. So
No, you can pay with MetaMask.
Oh, can you really? Okay, cool. Yeah. So
you have to go through the Coinbase option, and then it will bring up a separate window, and then right above where it says, "All right, connect through Coinbase," there's like a whole bunch of cryptos, and I clicked on Ethereum, and it just opened up my MetaMask.
Okay, cool.
So just FYI.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, sorry, just the main takeaway I kept getting throughout that whole mockumentary was basically if HEX is a pyramid Ponzi, then basically every market is a pyramid Ponzi. So is the stock market, so is the housing market, so is everything else, every other crypto, so is Bitcoin, blah 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 blah. Fuck, there was one other point I wanted to mention. I can't remember. But yeah, that was the main takeaway, building off of what you said, Toby.
Yeah, and Maddie, it's like I think I had the same. I didn't have the Vitalik issue, but I just was skeptical. Like, is he going to make us look like idiots? Because it's like, I mean, you can edit shit any which way and make anybody look however you want to make them, right? I mean, you could clip up this stream and make any of us look like whatever you want.
And he's done that.
And he has done that, right? Right.
Yeah.
And he's a comedian. So it's like, it's not necessarily even malicious. It's like he's just trying to be funny, and it's the type of humor he does. So he had approached me about doing an interview, and I was reluctant to do it and ultimately did not. But I did tell him, I said, hey, if you want to use Hexaco, go for it. So there is a little clip of him watching the Hexaco music video, and then his reaction to it I thought was pretty funny. And then, but I mean, just generally speaking, it's like, I think it was really well done. I think it's actually quite funny. I think ultimately it's another form of kind of outrage marketing, because it's like it gets people being aware of HEX. So if the haters want to like, just sink their teeth into like more stuff to hate us and Richard for, go buy that movie. Go spend $25 and watch it and hate on us. And then maybe, just maybe, there's some of you that your heads are going to get turned around about it, because it's like, no spoiler alert here, but the thing is the assessment is not that it's a scam. I'll tell you that, But it's really funny, really compelling, really informative. A lot of good different takes from various people in various crypto communities. And then everybody that was interviewed from the HEX community, it's like I think that they were represented really well. It's like I don't think he mischaracterized what they're trying to say. He didn't chop it up in such a way to make them look dumb in any way. I think he took a little jab at Maddie, but I think that was because you flaked on the interview. So I think he took a jab at you a little bit, but I mean, I think he did it tongue in cheek. I don't think he was really.
Honestly, I don't remember him talking about Maddie.
It was right after the Hexaco clip, and because he was sitting there he was sitting there waiting for Maddie to come for his interview, and then Maddie didn't show. So I think he, on purpose, he kind of jabbed.
Yeah, but it was he took a clip of me saying, "Oh, the humans and the code," and so I sounded like kind of crazy. But if you know what's up, then it didn't sound that crazy. Which is fair in a way.
Yeah.
I like the part where he tried to stake $500 and it ended up being 5,000. It's like, okay, yeah, like you didn't know that, bro. Come on.
And then the castle, like when he went to the castle, and the guy, it reminded me of the scene from Monty Python when there's like, it's like, your wife smells of elderberries, and like the little guard is at the top of the castle in Monty Python, the Holy Grail. It reminded me of that, but it's like, then Richard supposedly is at, in the castle, and then you'll have to watch it. I don't want to ruin it, but it's pretty. I laughed out loud at that part too. But I thought it was really well done. I think it was really educational. You know, I think that it would really be a good thing for Hexicans to get out there, and it's a great stepping stone too, because like people become more aware, then maybe they're more likely to tune in when the Hex Highest of Stakes finally launches. Hopefully this week we'll get an update on that. Maybe Big K and I can talk about that on your conference, Maddie. Hopefully we'll get some information we
Yes,
could share.
please.
So that would be a fun update to kind of see what's going on with that, because that's kind of dragging along too, as far as getting it out there to the most eyeballs. But yeah, it's like I think I don't know, man. I love this community. It's like I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I think just like Briz was saying, yeah, I got a bag, but that's not why I'm in it. I mean, to promote it and to talk about it and to endorse people looking into it. I really think it can change people's lives. I've seen it change people's lives. I mean, psychologically, financially, it's like, I think it's a beautiful product. And it's like, I've just never been more excited about, something like this that I feel can really have an impact in the world. So, so I'm going to keep, whether Richard, loves me or not, it's like, I'm going to do what I think is best to reach as many people as I can and get the word out. And, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but that's what's great about the Hex community. That's so diverse. There's so many different perspectives and voices and styles. Everyone can pick their favorites, and hopefully they don't follow them to get wrecked, right? It's like, hopefully they follow people like Maddie and like Briz and Crispy and myself, who are going to be honest and, tell you like where because, as unpopular as it might be, the reality is the narrative is diversification, right? Everyone's been told that from the first time, your grandma gave you a CD, right? And then you started to maybe invest in stocks, diversify your portfolio. So whether we necessarily agree with that or not, I mean, like 95% of my assets are in Hex, but the reality is that that's the thinking out there. So people are going to spread their wealth around. I would rather be 1% of every single person's portfolio than 100% of a handful of people. So I'm going to do me, love it or hate it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody go follow Tobiwan to help make up.
Or block them.
Or
Let's see what happens. Everyone block Tobiwan. I'm just joking.
Trending on the block list.
Yeah, right. It's all good, man. I got nothing but love for Richard. I mean, and to clarify earlier what Briz was coming after me for, I did say there are things that Richard does that I hate, because I feel like it's counter to what we are all trying to do. It's like, I mean, we all got to admit there are behaviors that Richard's done with the outreach marketing that we understand the underpinnings of, but it is a hard sell. It makes our job harder when you're talking to an onboard and they're like, what the fuck? I just saw this guy do this, this. And then you have to open up that whole can of worms, and then you have to explain. And then I have a clip that I can send them that he explains why he's doing the outreach marketing and what he really is like. Send him some old videos, the whole deal. But it's like, so that gets frustrating, because it's like you're out there grinding, you got somebody that's interested and want to learn more, and then all of a sudden Richard tweets something or does something, and they're like, fuck that. It's like, oh, but what about this shiny Zen shit? It's like, fuck, or whatever. So it's just, it's part of being in the community. Richard has his tactics and his reasoning for doing things. I don't think that it is best for us to emulate that. Number one, we don't have billions of dollars to flex on people and dunk on their heads. And I don't think that would be a good look anyhow. I never thought the Hex flexing thing was a great idea. So people that are trying to emulate Richard by behaving, not necessarily Hex flexing, but the aggressive attitudes and dunking on people and saying, Celsius losers, whatever. I don't see how that increases adoption, because, people are hurt. People have lost a fuck ton of money on FTX and Celsius and BlockFi, all the things that Richard warned them of, all the things that Richard could have saved them from. But if you shame those people and you make them feel horrible about it, it is too close to home for them.
I've been trying to get people to quit shit talking Bitcoin for 2 years. No, 3 years.
Longer than that, probably. So
I think you were making fun of my Bitcoin bags earlier.
I was clapping back on your comment.
I want to get to the Bitcoin debate and also make a point that, like, I'm tired of hearing people rip on Richard. Like,
yeah,
be grateful,
be respectful,
and if you didn't know what you signed up for, then the blame is on you.
Right.
this is a bear market. We were told that there would be a bear market ahead of time. Do you know how many people get that courtesy in cryptocurrency when they're onboarded, to know that stuff goes down, to know when the top is, and to like be able to, like we all had every opportunity to like take our Bitcoin bags, sell the top, buy HEX, buy stable coins, buy things that we wanted in life. Like now.
But Maddie, I was told bear markets were easy and fun.
Well,
Shares are cuddly.
This is fun. It is easy.
Yeah. Are you saying you're not having fun right now? I mean,
bulls are more fun.
Look,
at this moment,
you have to go to the depression stage before you can go up. There's no other way. So if being depressed isn't your cup of tea, then like you need to go pay attention to some other pastime until it's time to go back up, because this is not just crypto. This is the cycle of market emotions for every human investment that there is. And there's never been an invention where we got to have a smart contract take care of the hard part for us. And for us, now we just have to deal with the part of like the impatience and the boredom and look, panic, anger, depression.
There it is.
Then comes hope.
Yep.
We're in between depression and hope.
It's like the arc of the thing with throw that back up there for a second, Maddie.
I should hope so.
I think that's the arc of my interaction with RH and Briz. It's like I panicked, and then Briz got angry with me, and then I got depressed. But now we hugged it out, and there's hope, right? And then there's relief, and there's optimism. So there it is, right?
Speaking of this arc, another theory, and something I heard Richard tweet about once is a redemption arc. All right.
Sure.
So, I mean, what if this was like all pre-planned 4D chess where he acts like a freaking goofball, becomes a villain, gets everyone angry, and then he has this redemption arc and he goes back to T-shirt Richard Hart.
Dude, I hope.
The Richard Hart we all used to love.
I hope.
I was
seeing a clip of him in the HEX T-shirt in the HEX mini series, the one we were just talking about by Tom Gillespie. And yeah, I almost had the audacity, but then I checked myself and like thought to be more respectful. But I almost messaged him to be like, "Hey, will you please wear a HEX T-shirt for the HEX conference?"
I think that's not a bad request for your conference. I think
get Tom on there. I'll message him if he wanted to be on. Would you give him a spot?
Wait, what? No, I'm not talking about Tom wearing a HEX T-shirt. I'm talking about Richard wearing a HEX T-shirt. And no, but that's the thing is, I would never tell Richard what to wear.
Well, Richard's gonna do what he wants to do.
Yeah. But it's like, Bristology, I can relate with you on like maybe some form of nostalgia to like the days of Richard wearing the HEX T-shirt and like.
Again,
they were much simpler days. We didn't have all these problems with Sunwell syndrome and sudden bear market and knowing that we're in the right thing, but we have to be patient for like years and stuff. It's like, we have all these uniquely crypto problems.
Real quick, I'm just trying to. Can you see me? I'm moving.
Your camera's frozen.
No. You look stoic.
Good. Again, all I'm saying is, I'm just trying to build a coping mechanism, of why Richard is acting like a jackass. And I'm like, you know what? Redemption arc. He's going to have a redemption arc. Everyone's going to cheer him on. Everyone loves to see the bad guy become a good guy. Remember, Game of Thrones, Jaime Lannister, first episode, was banging his sister and threw a kid out of a tower. And by the end of the series, everybody loved Jaime Lannister. They were shipping him with Brienne. So I'm just saying, everyone loves a good redemption arc.
That's true. That's true. Well, and the thing is, I think it's a human story, because it's like whether or not it's some master plan, or if it's just Richard Hart also being human. right? Because like Maddie's talked to all of us about sudden wealth syndrome. The fact of the matter is yeah, Richard was wealthy, prior to ever doing any of this stuff. It's like I've got a clip that is like one of Valley Brand's most viewed things. It's like, I don't know how many views it's up to now, but he took a clip of me talking about if anyone should be worried about the OA participating in the Pulse sacrifice. And I was talking about Richard's wealth prior to ever coming into crypto, his bags of Bitcoin, his bags of ETH. Why would he ever dump, HEX or subsequently Pulse and ruin his legacy, right? So if anyone wants to watch that, I can drop a link. But and it's a good counter to people that are saying that him being the OA potentially or owning a large portion of the supply is a problem. It's a good counter argument to all that. But I guess my point is like it's a human thing, right? So maybe there's some evolution for Richard too. It's like all of a sudden he's got all these accolades, he's got all this attention that he's at a level he's never experienced before as a human being. There's concerns that people are around him that are yes men and maybe encouraging behavior that's not his, ideal scenario, right? It's like what I found interesting in his resolutions for New Year's was no alcohol. Well, Richard famously didn't drink. So obviously over the last however long, that's crept back into his life, right? And it's like, so maybe he's coming to some realizations. He's 43-year-old man. I was a 43-year-old man. I understand that those transitions occur a lot of times around that age, and he's learning stuff about himself. So I think that that's beautiful, and it's like he's not been ever one to shy away from changing his worldview about things, and he's evolving. So I think if anything, it could be like a supersized redemption arc to where he comes back bigger and better than the Richard we all fell in love with the T-shirt and just spitting facts and educating people. And that's my hope.
Or maybe we could realize that we were the ones that needed the redemption arc, and then that becomes the beautiful story that becomes our own personal growth and development. Yep. And speaking of which, that is one of the things that I ended up speaking on with Corey Costa on our New Year's stream. It just really came out very naturally to focus on what can we as HEX broadcasters, whether we're in a position, of such scrutiny as Richard, or maybe just ourselves, how are we going to improve ourselves in 2023 as individuals and as a team? And I think it's it's an individualized question, but certainly something that kind of fits with some of the vibes that we have in the community of self-improvement and not trading, not gambling, not abusing substances, trying to volunteer for one thing or another that, can make the world a better place. It's in a lot of coins, it's just, it's just lip service, but here it seems to be more real. I mean, last year there were a lot of stories during the bull market of Hexicans donating, the David Morales donated like a couple thousand meals to people around Christmas time. I mean, it's like just large scale giving that, that's just really impressive to me.
Yep. It's going to be fun to see, how all this plays out as the bull market resumes and we can get back to those more, I don't know, just less fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? People just being more confident in what they've done, being a good choice.
Capital flows will come back.
Absolutely. I have no doubt in that. And it's like, plus too, it's like, I feel like each time, it's like, look at Bitcoin. It's like, every time it endured a big dump, there was more adoption on the other side of it. And it's like, I think that that's the same thing. And that's really the big challenge that we're up against now. It's like, I think Hex Tangent was talking about there only being like 4 cryptos that ever reached another all-time high after their first run. Yeah. So if we do that, we're in some rare territory. Now, could we preface that with saying, okay, well, if we get back to 21 cents or 26 cents on both chains, is that all-time high? Because that's 52 cents, right?
Yes.
So, so that we can parse that out later, but it's like, I don't see how with things like Tom's miniseries, the Hex documentary that's coming out, Paul's launching, the SEC thing being in everyone's rearview mirror and it being, like a victory, I don't see how all those things don't get more people on it. And something I found really telling, talking to Patrick early on when they were negotiating with me about becoming an investor in the movie, is he said that he had talked to Richard about like his hopes for the movie. It's like, and Richard was like, you know, if 1 out of 100 people, if 99 out of 100 people hate me after that movie, but that one person looks into Hex and actually changes their life, then it's worth it. You know, so I thought that was really telling. Like, he did not care about himself and how he would come off on it, and really gave them license. And I mean, you guys haven't seen the movie, but I've seen it. It's like, you know, they show the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's like, I think they really do a good, fair representation of it. But, and obviously I'm a little biased.
I heard
it's, like,
it's not a fluff piece.
It is not a fluff piece. It asks some hard questions, absolutely. But
am I going to get angry? Is this movie going to make me angry?
I got mad at some parts of it.
Okay.
I mean, there are some parts of it that I got a little pissy at, but at the end of it, it's kind of like the redemption arc thing, right? It's like at the end of it all, it's like I left feeling very hopeful. And it's like, obviously I'm a little biased, but it's like, I think it's that thing where it's like, there's going to be people, it's going to reinforce the belief they already come in with, which is this is a scam, or this is bullshit, or maybe they don't even know anything about it, but it's an entertaining story, right? And that's great, because I mean, that's what you want on Netflix or wherever. You want like people to click the button and watch it, and, you know, be ready for a sequel, you know, wink, wink. But, you know, so I think it's, I don't know. I think ultimately it's more eyeballs, and invariably more eyeballs mean more people willing to take a chance. And the more people that dive in and find content like this, guys like Briz, Maddie, Crispy, hopefully myself, Johnny Chaos. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
I got a question,
really
Toby.
educate themselves. Sure, bud.
The film crew, they spent a buttload of time with Richard, right?
Yes.
You would think they would be able to figure out if this was a scam, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
So,
well, and you'll see in the movie. I mean, that's kind of part of the storyline. Is it a scam, right? And that's kind of it's in a weird way. It's kind of got some of the same arc that the miniseries does, right? Like really digging into it and asking those tough questions and getting different perspectives. And you know, and also getting a more personal peek into Richard, you know, the guy behind all this. So it's like, I think it's fantastic. I mean, I'm really excited for everyone else to see it. But I mean, my big thing now, and Maddie, I'll go back to where I misunderstood you earlier about Richard and the T-shirt. Would you be interested in Tom being on the conference?
I already asked him. He said no.
Oh no, that's a bummer.
I literally asked pretty much like everybody you can think of, except like 4 people.
Got it. Well, I'll reach out to him and see if he's maybe reconsidered.
Cool. That sounds great. Thank you.
Sure. Yep.
What was I gonna say? Can't remember. Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, what do we have to look forward to? I would say Hex Conference, Staker App V2, Capitulation Wick and Hex. Maybe we get it, maybe we don't. Then you've got the Highest of Stakes documentary. You've got Pulse Chain V3 testnet coming out. You got Pulse Chain. It's got to launch sometime. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, you know, there's no concern of it not launching. It's just like, you know, if Ethereum Fair, and I don't know if Maddie was promoting that one at all, but
oh yeah, of course.
Okay, well,
I love Hex on all chains.
But man, could you imagine having invested into that piece of junk? Anyways,
yeah, I can't imagine it. Look, it's the same exact thing as any other. Are you talking about Ethereum Fair, the token, or Hex on ETH?
I don't know. I'm just kind of shitting
because
on
look,
it seems like
everybody not paying attention to those
to stir it up
forks. Everybody not paying attention is paying me a way higher reward for my Hex that's staked. My copies are just, all you have to do is take care of it. Go to
is there any liquidity?
But that doesn't matter in the long term.
Or in short term,
it is if you're trying to extract value from the system.
Why would I sell Hex so cheap on any chain?
Well, you said cheap, so you would sell it high.
I mean, I haven't seen it go very. I mean, like initially it went pretty
Yeah.
high for like a fork for something that's free. It got up to what 1%, 0.1% between the different forks and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's a great question. It doesn't get brought up enough. I mean, it's related to Pulse Chain and HEX and like everything. So,
well, you want to, here's an interesting bit for you, right? Because I follow the TShares and I watch what's going on, and so you can go look and see. And I think right now, from what I'm seeing, the T-share rate on those are very close to the Ethereum T-share rate. So how is that possible? How is that possible? It's possible because some of the very big people in the community who have very large HEX stakes are going out there and ending their HEX stakes on time, and they're increasing the rate. So there is participation. Now, because of a bunch of factors, right, we just don't have insight as much into it, right? Because there just isn't the infrastructure there, which eventually could lead to failure, right?
of course,
But the infrastructure is not there for me to go find that information. Unless I'm a dev, and I'm not a dev, so not in that way.
And this is a good
well,
point.
Let me just make a quick point. Like the way that you do it, that I do it, is you just stake one T-share, and then you look on go.tshare.app and look at how many HEX keeps showing up that's accruing, and then you can see what the payout is. So it's anybody can do it. You don't have to be a dev.
Well, stake HEX today gives you all you do is change networks. They'll show you exactly what they're earning.
Beautiful.
All of them.
Beautiful. Nice. Thanks.
I didn't know that.
Thanks
It just doesn't give you the right dollar value because there's no, chasing the dollar value on those chains is tough.
Right.
But that's what I mean. When you go look at the T-share rate, I mean, the only way, Maddie, it could be keeping up is that somebody who has has stakes is ending them.
Well, and this is the game theory.
I agree.
Gang, right? So it's like, we're better to talk about the fact that this is the questions that remain about how to allocate your resources. So, is it wise to put new fiat into these other chains? It's HEX, right? I don't know. That's for people to decide. So, personally, I'm a little more, I'm over 50 years old. It's like, I'm a little more conservative at this point in my life. So it's like, for me, it just makes sense to stay with, the Ethereum 2.0 chain at this point, and then see what I want to do when Pulse launches.
Sure.
But, these are questions that keep it interesting.
We've talked about those chains before. So, I'm not recommending anybody go put money into it. I'm just saying that it looks like somebody's using it.
Right. Well, and you
that's
don't
my
know.
point.
And you don't know. It's like, you don't know if people that are putting money into that are fucking going to look like galaxy brains later, or if they're going to look like fools that threw good money after bad. You don't know. And that's my big disclaimer always. It's like, it's your money. It's like, people need to do what they need to do. All I need to do is explain to you like the value of a HEX staking ladder and learning about T-shares and why that should be at the core of anybody's portfolio. I need to get a T-shirt that says that, so I can just stop saying it over and over.
Well, I'm enjoying using it actually because I'm able to do on those chains for very little fee. Sounds a lot like Pulse Chain in the future, right? I never kept like a 30-day revolving stake, right? And on Ethereum, I never had done that, and so I was able to go over there and experiment and see what this looks like. Yes. And what this feels like to roll up monthly. Now I realize I'm not getting the right or as much of the payout as I would like, but it's just those types of things that I just hadn't experienced. On the Ethereum chain. It's just kind of interesting. But you guys were asking, or Maddie asked, you said, hey, what's there to look forward to? I asked you last week or a couple weeks ago, I think it was you, Toby. I asked you whether or not you'd ever played Monopoly.
Right? It wasn't me, but I have played.
Well, and a lot of, I don't think people play that anymore, but it's a game, right? A board game for those of you who don't know what it is.
Has Bracology played it? Have we all played Monopoly?
Monopoly.
We've all played them.
Right. So, in Monopoly, right, there's a game theory behind it, right? Which has a lot to do with, holding and delayed gratification a lot of the time and all that kind of stuff. And so I often equate, hex really to a game. I mean, I think that's what kept me around in the beginning, is the game, right? There's just so much game theory. So in the category of positive things to come, there are dozens probably of measures and metrics you could be using on Hex. Almost all of them, from a game theory perspective, are like super positive. Yes, price is down, but I'm not talking about price. I'm talking about the game theory of getting more Hex. I mean, the game theory is intact. The thing's been operating for, the contract's been up and operating for over 1,125 days as of the end of the year. You look, I had done this because I worked on a year-end report for Hex data that I'll put out over the next week or two. And it's just like, yes, I'm putting all the FUD over here, right? Everything's a scam, crypto sucks, price is down. I'm putting it over there. When and if the bull returns, it's going to be super bullish, man. I don't even know how someone could look at the information and not see that it's going to be super bullish.
I don't see how we don't just destroy the previous all-time high. I mean, I try not to be like crazy moon math guy.
Oh, me, I'm exactly that guy. I'm the one that everybody's saying, hey, why don't you talk about bigger prices and bigger numbers, right? Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Well, I could give you a case how it's going to be a struggle to get back up, and here's the thing: we're going to go sideways. Once the market gets done, so it goes down a lot. We've done that. Then you get a capitulation wick. Then you go sideways for a year, and then you go up again. And it always feels so long to get there. And then when it's finally here, it's like rejoice in the euphoria of like
just
new all-time highs. But the actual psychology is that basically everybody who missed the chance to like sell the all-time high previously is going to keep liquid Hex, and they are going to pay such a high price while the market keeps going sideways compared to people who are doing short stakes or long stakes, especially, that it's going to be, you got to get all the people out who like sell on a 2X and then sell on another 2X and sell on another 2X. And I think that that we're going to probably run into a bunch of situations where there are people selling a 2X, and then that's when you really start to take off, is once you get rid of all those people. Bristology?
I just wanted to piggyback on your sideways comment. When Bitcoin hit, what was it, $1,200 after 2013, basically 2014, it went sideways until 2017. It went up to 1,200, came back down to 300, and then it kind of stayed sideways at like 600 to 800 from 2014 to basically 2017 when it did its $20,000 run.
Right.
Yeah.
That was painful. That was like 3 years of sidewaysness. So we're like, I'm just trying to like agree with you. Yeah, we're probably gonna go sideways. It's probably gonna take a while. It's gonna feel like forever, and then it's gonna rip your face off.
See, you just got thicker skin, Briz, because you've been through all this shit. It's like I'm a
True.
pup. I've only been around since 2017, man. It's like I'm learning still. So
it's true.
Hey, so here's
I'm dead inside.
Here's not a trick question for you. In which direction is system APY trending?
Up.
Bruce?
I noticed it was trending down. Just because like I was getting like 1% APY for a 30-day stake, and then it kind of turned into like a little under 10, like closer to 8, I thought.
Wait. Trick
Toby,
question. System
Toby,
APY.
Toby, what do you think?
I think I kind of noticed the same thing Briz did. It's like it seemed like it was going down there for a bit, and my instinct would tell me that it's going back up.
It's always 3.69. Is that the correct answer?
Well, that they if it was
a trick question. Bullshit.
But that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
So looking at that, I think that I would have said what Briz and you had said, Toby, and then I put it on a chart and I threw a trend line on it, and it's going up.
Really?
So there's this boil the frog shit. Oh, excuse me. There's this boil the frog syndrome going on. This stuff happening where there's so much information being thrown at us that we think things because we see things that like they're true. Like if I was to ask a certain person, I'm sure there's some of the going to say absolutely it's going down. I see it all the time. It's just going down. You know, and the same thing with there's other phenomena that we see too that are like FUD related, like emergency end stakes are on the rise. Well, they're not on the rise, right? Yes, you're paying more attention to them, I guess, you know, or the penalties keep going up. Well, there's more penalties, but they're going down every year over year. So it's just like really, really weird little statistics like that. Unless you really dug into it, you wouldn't even know that's happening.
I saw. I forget where I saw it. It might have been Hex Token Channel, Superman. He posted a chart that basically showed the last 3 years. We had like all these like huge stakes that were ending, like a bunch of TShares coming out on like this month, a ton of TShares coming out on this month, and it just looked like a cityscape. But he showed the chart after the first 3 years, and it really starts to like kind of like even out and just real even with how many like it's just not like, oh wow, there's like a 4 billion hex stake coming out on this month and then just like that one. Nah, it's just kind of like real even, and basically the idea was that, you know, this could potentially lead to a lot less hex being dumped on the market and a much more I guess linear upward increase in value.
Yep. Yeah, my thought had always been too, because of the APY being relatively stable over time, you know, depending of course on the behavior of the OA, that it would make sense to me in a store of value. I don't necessarily want my store of value to be crazy volatile, right? So I always imagined that we would kind of get to a plateau where, you know, maybe it's $5, maybe it's $50. I don't know, you know, maybe it's 50 cents, maybe it's 25 cents. I don't know. But if that was pretty much the price forever, almost like a stable coin, who would not, from even like traditional finance and like very conservative people, not come in and be like, oh my God, this has been like steady for 5 years and I can get 38% average APY. Fuck yeah, I'm going to put part of my bag in there. You know, so I mean, that was always kind of my thing, that over time, like the waves would get smaller. And I think that that's kind of I've seen some arguments for that with Bitcoin too, that eventually, you know, it's not going to just continue to go forever and be millions of dollars per Bitcoin. But
if the productivity of the world or technology in general, like makes the world so much more productive or abundant in like 6.5 years, that the 38% APY like pays for itself, then like, isn't that something? I mean, it really can scale, in my opinion, because 38% is actually not that much compared to the real rate of inflation over 6.5 years. I mean, typically you're going to see like 100%, like the price of things doubles every 7 to 12 years, somewhere in there. And so if you think about it, it's like, it makes perfect sense that Hex would pay that much. And I think like the 38% just seems like so fantastic because it's in some ways it's guaranteed in Hex terms.
Right.
And that's something you don't get in any other market. You don't get a chart of future market supply. You don't get, and in Hex, you're still getting the uncertainty of the dollar, you know, the exchange rate, but it is pretty remarkable that you can know some things about the future inflation and other things you don't know. But
right,
you know who we need to get to manage the inflation rate of the United States? Arizona iced tea. How does that stay 99 cents?
Oh man, you can still buy those for 99 cents.
They put it on the can just so
A
the
breakthrough.
can't mark them up.
That'll probably change. Man, a soda here is almost $3 now.
Oh, wow.
Well, they must have. Didn't they get into crypto? No, no, I'm serious.
Seriously?
Arizona Ice.
Oh,
There was
Arizona. No,
there was a
no.
weird
It was the
news thing
long,
where they actually where
Long
the Arizona
Island
tea
iced
company.
tea. No, it was Long Island iced tea
Oh.
company.
Maybe
It's a
they're owned by
different-
the same subsidiary, and they got so rich off crypto they can keep offering the
Right.
Arizona teas at 99
They've
cents.
subsidized the tea price with the
They're
Mexico game.
they're not even like a crypto like company. They're like literally like just a company on the stock market, and they after they changed their name to or whatever they did,
Yeah.
their stock price went like way up, and it was just like
Well, the American Revolution was caused by tea prices going up and up. So maybe it has something to do with
it all comes around, all comes circle, right?
Hey, I'll, to shift gears just for a second and get a little moon mathy because that's kind of fun. I fancy myself a TA guy. I'm not as good as a lot of these other guys out there because I'm a pattern guy. I don't do a lot of the other stuff. But if there are those that enjoy fractals, okay, which is basically a bars pattern from a previous time on the chart. What I found very, very interesting was prior to us running to all-time high, this was April of 21, we were at around 2.1 cents, and we went from 2.1 cents down to 1.4 cents, which all the TA guys, me included, think that's our next level of resistance. Went down to that before the monumental run to all-time high. So if you take that bars pattern and lay it over where we are now, and I did this a few days ago, how long ago? I did this back before Christmas, and it has followed it almost to like bar for bar, which is kind of bonkers. And it shows us kind of getting a little uptick over the next week or so, but not breaking 1.8, like maybe 1.83. And then we hit almost to the tick 1.4 cents around mid-January, and then we start to climb out of it. And then by end of January, we're back up around 3 cents. And if we follow that same pattern, that same length of time, because if you remember, the all-time high was in September, so April to September, that's what, 5 months? Then that puts us in June back to all-time highs, almost to the tick, which is bonkers because that's second quarter of 2023. That's theoretically when another factor that could be.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, right. And another factor.
I was going to ask you which year. Which year?
2023. But then another factor that could be coming into play with Pulse Chain launch is Uniswap V3 not being able to be duplicated until after May. Is that a thing or not, Maddie? I see you shaking your head.
I just hear so much cope in the community of things like it's so simple. It's software unknown unknowns. That's all it is. It's really all it is.
I get it, but I guess my argument would be that it's like if in this time that's one of the things they're working on is to be ready for V3, then I could see where they're like, well, shit, we've almost got that hammered out, and it's like, all of a sudden it's March, April, and they figured out all the other bugs, and it's like, well, what's another month to wait until we can officially go ahead and make a copy of this thing, and then we wait and release it when we can actually have a copy of V3. Maybe. Now, I'm not saying wait from here to May just for that. I'm just saying if there's other delays between now and then, it's like that could be a factor to maybe make
it's healthier to just have V2 liquidity anyway. So I agree.
I agree. I mean, I prefer V2 anyhow, but
it's a clever, it's a clever landmark in the future that people. People are really using to cope, and it's like that's great. If you can't handle unknown unknowns, tell yourself about Uniswap V3.
We gotta move the carrot out a little further. Maybe that's the reason.
And then all you'll have to do is wait for Uniswap V4.
I know.
To get done expiring and stuff.
That's the reason he's waiting.
I can't wait for testnet version V4 to come out.
Oh, there you go.
When we know it's
Bristology,
close. That's when we know it's close.
And wouldn't it really be V1? Because it's a whole other copy. I mean, is it really V3 at this point? Because it's not the same thing we were doing testnets on.
Richard, I want Pulse Chain. Launch the Pulse Chain, Richard. Launch it.
I don't think you want it.
Wait, I gotta bookmark that. I gotta clip.
I don't think you want it if it can't handle big numbers. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's a problem. I'm
So
glad
are
they're
you
solving
saying
that,
ETH2 cannot handle big numbers?
Yeah,
that's what they ran into with Hedron.
Seriously,
That's
seriously.
what the Hedron thing the problem was, wasn't it? Like where they were doing like their bonuses for like sharks and whales and dolphins and whatever the fuck. Wasn't that kind of the problem why they had to do away with that bonus?
I'm not familiar with what bugs were found between all the vampire attacks that are out there, but
I love the subtext.
But look, I mean,
I
am somewhat familiar. I did talk to Future Us and people who actually understand like the technical aspects of what Richard had put out in that update, and it comes down to there's not enough like bytes of space on the blockchain for bigger numbers, so that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the fixer bot thing not being done is interesting to me, of course, because the fixer bot is really important to make sure like there's not cheap coins everywhere that get snatched up by people who have an incentive to sell them. And the whole breakthrough I think that Richard had publicly announced previously about the fixer bot that I want to remind people of is the best game theory for a fixer bot is for it to scale in, which means like dollar cost average on a short time frame, or like shadow whatever whales are trying to buy and stuff, because you don't want to get into a situation where you're spending some of the pulse that's been put aside to prevent cheap coins from getting into people's hands because of the mismatch of the automated market maker liquidity pools getting copied over. We saw it in Ethereum Fair and Ethereum W, where people were able to buy HEX at extremely discounted prices, hundreds of millions of HEX, but only as much as was sitting in the liquidity pool that got copied over at a rate that no longer matched because Ethereum was no longer $2,000. It was, $10 or whatever. And
I'm here, Maddie, to piggyback onto what you're saying. What about is it possible that people right now, bad actors, are creating, and I'm not talking about any coins that are in our community, but I'm just talking about people creating a shit coin just so it gets copied over onto the Pulse chain, just to get free Pulse coins.
You would suspect that people would be incentivized to do that, and that's why that's part of what the fixer bot scaling solution is. Yeah, is if it basically to just create resistance and to create a higher cost for people trying to do that, fixes the problem to some extent. And of course, the technical implementation of this theory is what comes down to being written in the code. Do you want it to be written in the code so there's minimal intervention needed along the way, or do you want a more manualized approach? Manual approach to causing that scaling to happen. But either way, I think it's that's really deep game theory that that we're getting into, but it's part of the example and the understanding of like what we're waiting on. We're waiting on solutions that are better than anything else that's been proposed in DeFi by far. I mean, it's not just you add the greatest invention since Bitcoin, Uniswap. Well, HEX is in there too, top 3. So, top 4. Bitcoin, Ethereum, HEX, then Uniswap, or Uniswap, then HEX. I mean, you start combining Uniswap plus having a layer 1 integrated into it, and it's just I could be wrong about my assessment that HEX has to go sideways, because in any game theory system, if you start to change some variables slightly, it can greatly increase the returns. Getting the game theory of HEX right is what helped cause it to go to 10,000x in its first run. And so And even with the prediction being stated up front, I think was kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy of people setting their limit orders there at exactly 55 cents, going up from the all-time low of exactly 10,000x. But that's
I was screaming. I was
relevant.
screaming into the void, man. I was telling everybody to measure it from launch. Like we didn't do the 10,000x, measure it from launch, but everybody was so jazzed about like the 10,000x being 55 cents. I was just like, oh damn it, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then there it was, But yep.
All right, Maddie. Thank you for having me on. I just wanted to say thank you for letting me come on and slap around Toby a little bit. I hope I didn't slap around too much.
I need it. That's what friends are for. I appreciate it.
It's just just don't get fudded out over emotions.
Absolutely.
Toby, don't become the next good texture or nightly crypto.
No way, bro.
I'm just saying.
I'm buying the dip. I bought last week.
Redemption arc with Richard refollowing you.
I'm sick. Whatever. But
anyways, I just want to say, guys, we've been here before. This is the way the markets work. Trust me. Nightly in the early days, trust me, nightly crypto, he had 150 million hex staked, and he was like, guys, emergency instinct it and tried to get everyone to emergency instinct all their hex, tried to flood the whole community. Hey, I'm building something better over here. Guys, don't fall for this crap. You would have missed out on the 56-cent hex. Time in the market is better than buying a crap ton of shit coins.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, thank you for having me on here, and I love all you guys. I love you too, Toby.
Love you, Briz. Appreciate it, man.
Fudster. But all right, guys, have a good one. And
everybody play nice on Twitter.
Absolutely. Play nice. Stake long. Stake hard.
Thanks, Briz.
Briz is great. I love that dude. So that was good.
Well, we've covered a lot tonight. We made it to our 2.5 hour mark and then some. So
yeah, we did.
Shout out to everybody for tuning in. I mean, we have 140 people here. Hit the like and subscribe button. Get ready for the HEX conference coming later this week.
HEXconference.com.
And get out there and get the word out about the HEX conference. It could be the factor that pulls the community perhaps out of the depression phase and gets us hopeful again about the future of crypto. So
and go check out Tom Peter Gill's highest of stakes, the mini series on HEX. I think it'd be great. I'm gonna see if I can get him to come on the conference. It'd be cool to hear his take on things.
Yeah. And
it only took him like 3 years to make that. Wasn't he complaining?
He beat us to market. So.
Yeah, but he started before us.
Yeah.
Right. Wasn't he complaining a little bit about that?
A little bit. But Maddie, thanks, man. Always a pleasure being on, dude. It's like I've been having a rough time. It's like I've got some back problems, some other shit going on personally, and always a pleasure to be on with you guys. Kind of get me out of my own way a little bit, and being with the community is always a pleasure. And this is so much more fun than Twitter. Twitter, man, it's a fucking crazy place.
Fair enough, absolutely. And better than this guy getting a job at McDonald's. Maybe in our future if we don't play our cards right. So he actually jumped on the HEX conference. So
cool.
He'll be on there as well.
Cool. Dog's great. Love that guy.
With that being said, everybody go follow ChrispyMan and Tobiwan Hexobi on their respective socials. Go to hexfire.io to check out the best statistics in all of Hexlandia. And until next time, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
See you.
Peace.
Hey, now.
That was fun. Cool, man.
We're still live. I'm going to choose what outro we
balls. Love that guy.
Sorry, Rich, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Hi, everyone in the HEX community. My name is Roger Veer. I was the first investor in the cryptocurrency ecosystem and a long time other participant in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. who really did a good job of convincing me to make a video for all the HEX fans out there today, even though I'm trying to take a break from social media, everything. Just want to congratulate you guys on raising, I think I read $27 million for SENS. That's a really, really big deal and a really big amount of money. And so thank you and congratulations for that, since that's something I'm also interested in. Anyhow, I haven't had time to follow HEX real closely, but from what I can see, you guys are trying to build faster, better, cheaper, more reliable payments and a platform to do all of that and everything Ethereum could do and then some. So just want to congratulate and cheer you guys on when it comes to those goals that you have. And wish everybody the best of luck in the future, building a better world for all of us to live in. Thank you all so much.